pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight down speed off. Bring in, speed off. Off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
All right, what is up, everybody out there in internet land? Give me a 5x5, let me know you can hear me. Put a 5x5 in chat if you can. As I rapidly open up the YouTube chat to figure out if you can hear me. But assuming you can, which looks like you can, thank you everybody for doing that. I'm Jack Byer, and I'm with NASA Spaceflight, and you are looking at a section of the Launch Integration Tower. Believe this is the 9th section. You can see it looks like it's got some pulley or like winch hardware or something installed on there. And we're thinking they're gonna lift this thing up and install it today. But I will quit flapping my gums. I, as always, am joined by fabulous members of the NASA Spaceflight team, including Mr. Chris Bergen, NASA Spaceflight Actual on Twitter. What's up, Crispy?
Hey, Jack, and hello, everyone, Texas crane watchers. We
Yeah.
seem to be watching cranes, nothing but cranes recently, but it's going to be exciting if it happens. Yeah, all fingers crossed.
How about we just cut out the middle crane and we call it Texas Construction Watchers?
Yeah.
It'll be all encompassing. Also joined by Chris Gebhardt. We've got both Chris's on this stream. We have crossed the streams.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear, we're giving away that we're not the same person.
That would be amazing if you were, since your voices and accents are so wildly different. That would be something.
And I think we've actually appeared on camera together, so that would be even more weird.
Yeah.
But you know.
I'm thinking like I'm getting prestige vibes. I don't know. We'll pull that string. Also joined by Ian. What's up, Ian?
How's it going? Good to be here.
I'm like speed running these and making Michael show all the overlays. Speaking of, Michael is in the background pulling the strings and pulling the strings and pulling levers. You pull strings and levers. Also joined by Das, also in the background, also pulling levers and pushing buttons.
Hey, what's up, Jack? How's it going?
The strings are Michael's, the buttons are yours.
Today we switch back and forth sometimes.
There you go. All right, well, the gang is all here, and of course, as usual, we have Mary out in the field bringing you this camera view right here that you can see with your own eyeballs. So thanks to her for rolling out and setting up the camera roadside like she does. It looks like we've got some lifts up. What are they? They're not going to detach the load spreader, are they? Are they going to detach the load spreader after we went live?
I told you.
I mean, we know they have a giant confuse media button. So, yep, that would be exactly what happened.
Oh, brother.
Look at that. Okay, so maybe they're just adjusting things. You know, we went live because we saw them lift it up a little bit, and it looked like they were doing the standard test lift and hold before they do the full lift. And
Yeah.
and now it looks like they've set it back down and they are adjusting something or just straight up pulling the load spreader off. What do we do if they pull the load spreader off? Do we just hang out for a little bit and answer questions?
I think it's a good excuse to answer questions. Sure, why not?
And remember, that's what they did last time.
Yeah.
Where they faked us out. They did a test. They got a little gap in there, and we saw daylight underneath between the transport stand, or I guess the assembly stand in this case. And then they took it over and they worked on it on the ground. And they brought it back up and put it at the top again. Like this is normal process. So we're hanging out, I guess, huh?
Oh, well, always a good excuse to answer some awesome viewer questions. Speaking of awesome viewer questions, hey, awesome viewers, if you have questions, feel free to @NASASpaceflight in the chat there, and that allows the question to pop up in some software that Michael wrote. But right off the bat, here's a good question probably for Ian here. Commissioner Coco asks, what is the thrust to weight ratio in Starship?
So that is a good question. I don't believe we have exact numbers on that, but I believe it's somewhere around 1.5. Again, that depends on your fuel load, the throttle level of the engines. So it's a very variable number, but it seems to be around 1.5 for the test missions, I believe, somewhere maybe a little lower than that.
Very cool. 1.5. And of course,
Elon tweeted at 1.5 was the target for Super Heavy. If you, the entire stack is called
okay.
Starship, so
That would be 1.5 for the full stack launches.
Gotcha.
Got it. And of course, the thrust is 3. I'm sorry.
Not for long. It'll be 6 soon.
Maybe even 9 eventually.
That's just
Ugh.
3 times 2 or 3 squared.
Yeah, as long as it's divisible by 3, we're good. It's still technically 3 when
Oh,
at its
here.
core.
Aren't there going to be 31 engines though?
We're not going to talk about that. We're not talking about it.
Okay.
We're gonna hope they eventually go to 33.
33, yeah.
And one for luck.
Oh, man. It's like standard. I reject your comment and substitute my own reality or whatever.
By the way,
Line.
we joke about these load spreaders, but I think it's a big case of safety first, Cooper, isn't it? Because they got to get this
Yeah.
right. Imagine the amount of eyes watching them, never mind the cameras. You've got to be so careful with these massive structures. And to be fair to them, it's worked out quite well. It's the first time they built a launch tower in Boca Chica. So
Yeah.
whatever they've done so far to Section 8, before this section, they've worked out quite well. But I just want to praise the view. This view we got right now is from Mary. And Mary's out there with a camera, and we're getting this fantastic view from her as always. So I do hope they'll lift it while we've got this view, because it'd be a great sight.
Yeah, that definitely would be ideal. We can see basically the whole thing, and you can see the little gap forming the area where it would be, the air, the whatever. As it would lift off the stand, we would see it. I can words good, I swear. Let's see.
Shall we
Lars.
confront the elephant in the room first, Jack?
Yeah,
Because a
go
lot of
for
people ask this in chat on a 24/7 stream. If you're not aware, we're doing 24/7 streams, by the way, now. And we've got a lot of people asking about this push date that Elon has apparently sent to the workforce. Now, it's currently nothing Elon said on Twitter. It's various rumors. I think someone posted on our forum about this push date for stacking ship 20 with booster 4, which is meant to be in about a week and a half's time. We all think that's a very highly optimistic date, to say kindly, because that's a lot of work, not only on the 2 vehicles, because you've got ship 20 in the mid bay and you've got booster 4 still stacking in a high bay, but you've also got the launch pad, which is being worked on as we're looking at right now. So I think the date is highly optimistic. I don't think they'll reach it, but I want to again point out what Elon does. Elon sets these very ambitious targets all the time in all his companies, including Tesla. And he does this on purpose because he has these goals. He wants the goals. Let's face it, he's not making them up. But he knows that he has the workforce in the mind frame where they think they've got a real tight day to go for. They will end up achieving a day, if it's later, that is still sooner than had he said nothing, like some other companies tend to do. They tend to be like, we'll have a meeting in 2 weeks' time in the boardroom and just see where we are. Elon's like, nah, I want this by next date. And it ends up being a situation where you see the cadence improving and you see him tested. It's like he's like a good sports coach. He's pushing his players and he's making them get achievements faster, even if they don't make the date. So that's the take home from that date that we've seen in the first week of August. It is just his coaching technique. When we see it in August itself, would be a massive milestone to see a stacked Super Heavy and Starship on the launch pad. That'll be an amazing thing to see. So let's just keep watching. Let's not hold them to dates. Let's realize how they work and look forward to what we're going to see soon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I could set it better myself. It seems like a highly optimistic timeline, but that's how SpaceX rolls, and that's how you. Okay, we talk about this a lot, right? We talk about how Elon sets the wildly optimistic goal, and everyone knows it's wildly optimistic, but it pushes the workforce to complete things faster. But if everybody knows it's wildly optimistic, does it still push people to work faster because they know, oh, that date's not going to happen? That's my small counterpoint.
Yeah.
And also, my other small counterpoint is as someone who's worked at large companies, which SpaceX isn't, Disney or like Hewlett Packard or something like that, but they're still a fairly large company now. They're not certainly not a startup anymore. As someone who's worked at a company like that, and here goes the load spreader. I just imagine what is the rank and file engineering feel when they get a comment from management that's like, we're going to do it next week, and you're the person who's actually turning the wrench, and you're thinking, it literally is going to take me 12 days to turn this wrench the number of times it needs to turn in order for this to happen. That's just how physics work. You know, to a certain extent, that might have the opposite effect of demoralizing people when they know that, you know, whatever goal set is just going to be unattainable. But that's just my two. You know, you're not wrong. That Elon has the optimistic timelines, and it's borne fruit clearly, repeatedly, with how SpaceX has gone so insanely fast, with so many
kind of answer that, Jack, by the
aspects.
way.
But yeah, go for it.
What I'm thinking is that's brilliant points, and it would apply to so many industries. But the funny thing is, we saw those Glassdoor reviews of the CEO of Blue Origin, Bob Smith,
Yep.
which were bottomed out of the floor. And Blue Origin are not pushing their workforce. They're really not. They're rudderless at the top. You speak to Blue Origin people who aren't allowed to speak to you, by the way. They're literally told not to speak to the media at all, or even go on Twitter. They will basically sound demoralized because they're not being pushed. Whereas if you look at SpaceX's Glassdoor reviews for the CEO, Elon Musk, they're very high, and they are pushed to the hilt. They do work long hours. They do work very hard. So I think it's a mindset of the workforce where they have a goal to achieve, and SpaceX's goal is Mars. That pushes you.
I think that's definitely a big part of it, in that SpaceX hires for people who are highly motivated to do the thing, even you know, not necessarily for SpaceX or for any specific company, but because a lot of people that work at SpaceX truly believe spaceflight is important and are willing to pour many hours and years of their lives into achieving the goal because they believe it's a worthwhile goal, and that is a powerful thing. All right, good talk. The good news here is the load spreader is not being, I shouldn't even say it, is not being moved away. Are they moving it away right now? Are they moving it away right now?
Moving it away right now. I think it's just rotating in the wind. But
okay, yeah, it looks like it's just sitting there. Hopefully they make some adjustments and reattach it. But either way, we're going to hang out and answer some of your questions, and I will not talk about methane igniting in the flare stack. Let's really quickly, Victor, thank you for the new membership. Let's see if I can see where you came in at, Victor. Padrat. Enjoy the Padrat membership. You get some chat emoji. You get member preview videos. We're working on new chat emoji. That's a thing I've been saying for a while, but we are working on new chat emoji. We've got a list of ideas. And who said they were going to do that? Was that Thomas that said he was going to do that? I'm putting you on the spot, Thomas, wherever you are. But thank you, Victor, for the new membership. Thank you to all of our members. You guys are awesome, and you enable us to do what we do, especially that 24/7 stream. That is no small feat. JC Davis, thank you for the support. Talking about Booster 4 and Ship 20, that's pretty funny. It would be pretty hilarious if history were just worked out that way. Morgan, thank you for the support. Asking how long it'll take to recover Booster 4 and Ship 20. I don't think they plan to recover either of them.
No.
Right?
Yeah. Nope.
They're going for a swim.
Last we heard, they're both going into the drink.
Watch, Jeff Bezos is going to do that thing where he goes and recovers engines like he did for the F1. And he's going to recover the engines and ship them to Tori and be like, look, Tori, here's your engines.
Hey, be careful what you wish for. You never know what might happen with ULA.
Anush, thank you so much. What's up, buddy? For the support there. And you just rickrolled everybody. Thanks. And Robert Hobson. What's up, Bob Hob? Thank you so much. Bob Hob is the best. When Crab, I mean when Lift. I'm confused. Ignore me. I would never ignore you because holy cow, that is a $100 super chat of many $100 super chats that Bob Hob has given us. So thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Bob. Robert. I feel like I have asked him if he minds Bob Hob. I don't think he does. Hopefully he doesn't because I've been calling him Bob Hob for over a year now. But thank you so much. I mean, again, the 24/7 stream is a huge undertaking, and your support means the world to us. And more than that, it means we can keep providing our content to the world. Thank you, Bob Hob. Nightwalker Gaming, thanks for the new membership. Looks like you came in at Padrad as well. Thank you, buddy. Thanks to all of our members. All right, now we have the housekeeping done. Not to sound unthankful, I'm extremely thankful. I know we all are, right, guys?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
absolutely.
we couldn't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, we couldn't do this without the support, and the other thing is we wouldn't do it if there was no support. We wouldn't do it for ourselves, you know. So it's all vitally important. That's how every site works the same way. You've got to have an audience, and you've got to cater to the audience. The audience appreciates you, and they support you. You can do more and more. So it's a cyclonic thing where you keep helping each other, shall we say?
Yep.
So it's a really important thing. It really is. People say it on streams. Oh, thank you for support. We really mean it.
All right, so here's the part where we change the design of Super Heavy by saying something that is immediately contradicted on stream. Will the booster get any wings or flaps? Asks Lars. I say no, but we all know what happens when I say something on stream. The opposite tends to happen.
I mean, I'd agree with you, and I'd say the same caveat, never say never, but we did see the booster with big rigid structures for landing legs. We've seen it go through a few iterations that have taken all of those away, so never say never that they wouldn't come back, but I mean, it seems to me like at least right now that push is to catch him with a tower. So no need for wings or flaps based on the trajectories that the boosters are going to be asked to fly.
Yep, and I think there's probably a bunch of engineers at SpaceX who would roll their eyes so hard they fell out of their head by me saying this, but Super Heavy booster is essentially a scaled up Falcon 9 booster, right? I mean, there's different propellants, there's different engines, it's way, way, way bigger, but in terms of the flight activities that piece of hardware is going to be involved in, it might burn for a little longer, it might be coming in a little bit hotter, a little bit cooler, but the general flight profile of Super Heavy is going to be essentially the same as a Falcon 9, wherein it launches the second stage, in this case ship, and comes back, lands at the launch site or offshore on an oil platform that's been modified, and that's that. It doesn't need to belly flop like Starship does to create enough drag to re-enter and burn off all that speed and whatnot. It doesn't need wings or flaps. The booster doesn't, because it doesn't belly flop. It comes in like a Falcon 9.
I remember back during the 2018 BFR days, back when they had the three flaps, the three I guess three flaps. They were going to do three rigid flaps just like that design on Super Heavy, just to act as landing legs. But we all know what happened to those design. They're under the two flaps and no landing legs, and I don't know.
I will say, seeing New Shepard up close and seeing how it's got sort of aft fins and four fin structures, and I mean, New Shepard is a cool looking booster. I cannot deny that New Shepard looks cool. So if they did want to throw some like little strakes or aft little flap nubbins on Super Heavy, I certainly wouldn't be grumpy, but so far it does not seem like that is going to be necessary.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing that with New Glenn. They have the two strakes, and they're going to kind of glide it back a little bit.
Exactly.
To really slow it down. I think, honestly, like all like jokes and memes aside, I think New Glenn's a really cool looking rocket, and I really hope it succeeds. But yeah, the wing design is that's gonna be so cool seeing it glide down. I hope we get some like tracking shots, so in the thing like almost flying.
What's the difference between a strake and a chine?
I think chine is leading edge of a wing, but a strake is by itself. That's
Like
a pretty guess.
Like fuselage? Yeah, because I was about to say, if you don't know what a strake is, think of the SR-71. And then I was like, wait, but are those chines? Anyways, digging myself a hole here.
There was chimes on Shuttle Columbia, which made it look different from her sisters. I finally get to mention Shuttle, as I always do, on a stream.
Yay, it only took, let's see, how far into the stream are we? It only took like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing I could think of, but I was like, no, Chris B's here. He's got to be the one to say it.
Are those the black parts on the wings?
Yes.
Those are the neat. I never knew those were chine.
The other orbiters didn't have that, so you could always tell which one was Columbia just from that. But there was other things as well, but that was the most distinctive feature.
Atlantis is best shuttle, but Columbia is most beautiful. Don't at me.
Columbia's a beautiful shuttle, yeah.
Atlantis is the best shuttle, but yeah, they're all beautiful.
Yeah, I'm personally Team Discovery, but we'll slide under the drug.
Well, that's okay, Ian. You're wrong, but it's okay.
Hey, live in denial.
Oh man! Of course, we have to get into a little bit of shuttle fist fighting with everybody on the stream that's on the stream.
I actually may have made
then
a
I'll
mistake.
just say Endeavor. That is all.
No agreement here. No agreement.
3 hours later.
There's actually a shuttle question in the queue. Do you think I should exit that one out?
Yeah, let's segue it in.
Alrighty. So talking about TPS is actually very on topic, but so Logan here was saying, why does Starship only need heat shield tiles on one side when the shuttle was completely covered with thermal protection?
I'll
It
start
didn't
and
have
Chris G can
tiles
take
everywhere though,
over.
right? It had blankets and whatnot on the leeward side.
Yep.
It was black RCC. If you look at the orbiters, you could see their bellies were black, and over the top of the wings it was reinforced carbon on the leading edges. But on the top, it was thermal blankets, and we've got that amazing NSF Live interview where the lady was talking about. Remind me of her name, please, Chris.
Jean.
Jean, yeah, was talking
Right.
about how she's one of the Stitch sisters, how they basically inserted the blankets into the body of the orbiter. So you had the two kind of differences there, where you had the black underside and the white top. If you can think of Starship in the same way, whereas the steel is like the white blankets area, and the TPS, the black tiles, will go on the windward side, which is going to face the heating of re-entry. So that's why he'll be the same kind of design, but just different kind of outlook and different kind of appearance. But Chris can talk further about TPS if he wishes.
Yeah, I think the main reason it ultimately comes down to the skin and what the vehicles are made of, right? The stainless steel can withstand a lot higher temperatures during reentry, so you don't need the thermal protection on the leeward side. The side that on the shuttle was the white blankets and everything, like you were just saying there, Chris, as well as some of the Nomex insulation on the upper parts of the wings there. And for a while there, Starship didn't actually think Starship would need a thermal protection system even on the bottom of it, because they were going to do this methane cooling, where basically methane would flow in tubes along the exterior part, or inside the skin, and it would help cool that vehicle and not make it necessary to have a thermal protection system. But that's a more complicated thing to build. So for the sake of simplicity, they got rid of it, and now we see the heat shield tiles on the bottom part. But yeah, Starship almost didn't need a heat shield, which is really impressive.
And going actually right off of that question, another one for the Chris's, do you think the silhouette of Starship will be as iconic as shuttles in the future?
No.
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 I mean, the thing about the shuttle orbiter
sorry.
is it's a
Look
space
at that.
plane. I mean, it did literally come back like a plane. So you won't be that delta wing kind of shape kind of idea. Whereas Starship will be just as impressive because the way she comes back with the belly flop. We've seen the test flights. It's amazing to watch to come down belly flopping with the aero surface controlling it as it comes down, and then the flip maneuver and the landing bird. It is astonishing to watch. So I think they both have their own charms, but as far as iconic, it will take a while because we've had 30 years of the space shuttle before it retired, and that gets embedded into people's minds.
Look
I
like it's
say
tight
yes.
again. Like,
Yeah,
did they retension those lines?
I was gonna say, like, I think that's what Michael was telling us in the background. Yes, that they were that they've retensioned those lines, so it might be coming back up again.
It's not hooked to the spreader though, right?
I think it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I think it is actually.
Am I looking at the same thing you're looking at?
What stream are you watching?
I mean,
Oh, that's
yeah,
a cool shot.
It's
It looks like
lifting
it's-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up just a little, very slowly.
They called for help. More cranes are going.
Oh God, yeah.
They've lit the beacon.
Oh, okay. You mean the load spreader's going up, not the whole power section.
Yeah, the load spreader jack. Sorry. Yeah.
the
Oh my
OLP
God.
calls for aid. Like, more
That's
cranes
so
are in.
Noah's
funny.
Ark, innit? The cranes come by 2 by 2.
Reinforcements.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my gosh, I'm picturing. Yes, the cranes come marching too. But yeah, whatever. Yes.
I'm gonna start cutting mics. No singing.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, copyright strike.
When's the karaoke stream?
Never.
Never.
To answer the question at hand, yes, I think Starship, the silhouette of it will be as iconic as Shuttle.
Yeah.
Did anyone?
Back to the question.
Did anybody else have the Shuttle wallpaper as a kid in your room?
Yes.
Yep.
I'm gonna find it now as well because it's
You
brilliant.
know what I'm talking about, right? It's like
I
the
do.
Earth in the background, the shuttle, and
Yep.
I had that as my wallpaper from like, I don't know, probably like 3rd grade to like well into middle school.
And it was Photoshop, wasn't it? Wasn't even real.
Oh, probably. Now I
Yeah,
want to
it
go
was
back
Photoshopped.
and see if I can. Here, what if I Google shuttle wallpaper?
It's a beautiful, beautiful poster. They had it in the Johnson Space Center on the wall. a massive version of it.
Yeah.
And I believe they've got a version of it in the VAB. I'm not too sure now. But I know I think they replaced it with the wall of workers where they were praising the workforce for the final mission,
Yeah.
finish
And
strong and things like that.
And the other reason that I don't think the silhouette will be as iconic is just the shuttle was unique. I mean, aside from the one Buran that the Soviet the Union managed to put together before that program's cancellation, there wasn't another rocket like it. I mean, that silhouette was so iconic. I mean, there's a reason people look at a Saturn V, a Soyuz, an Atlas Able, a whatever rocket from history, past or present there is, and they'll say, "Oh, that's a rocket," but then you show a shuttle, and they go, "Oh, that's the shuttle," right? There's a reason rockets are still collectively called, "Oh, the shuttle." I mean, I don't know how many times the neighbors will ask me if the shuttle went up yesterday, and it's like Falcon 9, but I know what you mean. Like it kind of just became synonymous with spaceflight, so yeah, and Starship does just kind of look like a bigger version of a rocket, whereas Shuttle was very unique. So
I don't
that's
know.
my answer to it.
I completely don't agree at all, but I respect your opinion. I don't think I can find this wallpaper, but
Well,
the reason
while
I
you
bring
look
that
at-
up is
Yeah.
because I feel like at a certain point, a couple years down the line, kids will have the Starship equivalent, where they'll
Yes.
have, the really
Yep.
nerdy space kids will have a Starship wallpaper in their room or what have
Oh
you.
yeah,
Starship
yeah.
sheets.
Starship
I-
sheets. Hey,
Yeah.
okay. Store idea. Store idea. Store idea.
Where's Mark?
Starship sheets. Somebody tell the store guy, right?
It's like cartoonish. Like Starship doodles, sort of like back and forth.
Daily
Anyway.
Hopper.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'd
Let's
say I
see.
have to agree with Jack on that. I think I'm gonna be quick. So I know it's like shuttle was like the first space plane, so it's always gonna have that thing going for it. But eventually, like I don't know how the future of the Starship program is gonna be, how it's gonna change the look. But maybe like 100 or 200 years, people will have a little Starship model on the desk, like people have a little, say, Mayflower model, or like a little, like those little sailboat models.
Starship in a bottle.
It's like
I would
action,
buy that.
action light up Starship where you like press a button and it goes doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and the engines light up, little LEDs flash and stuff.
Yeah.
Can it,
You
can
pull
it be
it
like a
back
toy
on the
car?
ground.
Yeah, you pull it back.
let
and
it go, and it goes
launches.
across the floor.
I'm
Starship.
on board. I'm on board. Let's see. Drum, thanks for the new membership, buddy. Dario Espina, thank you also for the new membership. And Magni? I'm sorry for your last name is Oakenshield, which makes me think of the Hobbit. Thank you for the support.
That
and
happened
for
when we got the Gondor reference.
what?
I don't know if that's what pushed you over the edge, Magni Oakenshield. I hope it was. Thanks for the support.
The king under the mountain.
There you go.
Let's see. Travis Self, thank you for the support. They say Army veteran who absolutely loves space. Well, thanks for your service there, Travis.
Yeah. Thanks for your service.
Hey, it's starting
Neil?
to swing. Look at that.
Oh, that's a good sign. Neil, thank you for the support. They say came here for the crane. Remy Turk, thank you for the support. They say why are we calling it a space plane instead of a space glider? Because space plane sounds cooler. Let's just move on. Joseph Tatum, thank you for the support. They say with the business section being so exposed on Booster 3, with no skirt, what's to protect the vitals on descent on B4? That's a good question. Anybody want to take that? There's no octaweb or skirt or anything on Super Heavy, but Falcon 9 also doesn't really have a skirt, right? So, but it does have an octaweb. I don't know. Does someone talk words? Go words, do words.
Yeah, it does have the octaweb that protects a lot of the internal stuff. But again, that's sort of a byproduct of how the Merlins were originally designed, how the Falcon 9 was originally designed. And Elon has said, like they learned a lot from trying to make Falcon 9 reusable after initially making it, and they learned a lot of lessons that they're bringing forward into Starship. And one of those things that we're seeing are those exposed engine bays and engines that are sort of designed to take that retro heat as the engines are firing and they'd be coming in through it. So not saying there isn't any thermal protection that might be in there, but when you're designing it with that in mind from the very beginning, it's easier to design a system where you can beef up things in those aft compartments that you're right. Normally we see them closed off, and on this one we're not per the current design.
Look, you can see the cranes driving into the main entrance there. And the hilarious thing is, these tiny little cranes, they actually say big on them. The biggest cranes are tiny.
Technically, they say Big E, right?
Big E, yeah.
Big E. There's 3 of them. They're just like invading the site. There's 4 of them.
It looks like they got a discount, like a package discount on these blue and white cranes.
Buy 3, get 1 free.
Yeah.
Can I get the Biggie 4-pack?
The Biggie 4-pack, nice.
Right.
It's
the
buy
4th of
two.
July sale.
Oh, we're out of 4-packs, but we've got to buy 2, get 2. So
Somebody needs to sit down and have an intervention with Elon and his crane purchasing habits here.
There you
It's
go.
like you're buying bulk packs now, really?
There are too many cranes.
Impossible.
Cool stuff. Let's see. Good question there from Joseph Tatum. And again, if you guys have questions at NASASpaceflight, and we'll see your question pop up in our queue here. Can't answer them all. We'll try to answer as many as we can as we wait for this 9th tower section to be lifted. Here's one.
Might even happen today.
It might. Here's one that's tower related. Chris G, how about you answer this one? Is SpaceX going to cover the tower like the Falcon 9 tower at Kennedy?
That's an excellent question. We know that the cladding at 39A does provide some degree of protection to the tower, but so does painting it, which they did at 39A. SpaceX has a desire to sort of make things look uniform, make things look as similar as possible from an aesthetics point of view.
Things look cool, don't forget.
Yes, exactly, and that element of spaceflight. So it wouldn't surprise me if the tower here eventually got that treatment, but I would not hold my breath for them to do it right off the bat. I think if they end up doing it, it would be like they did 39A, where they sort of did it piecemeal in between the missions that they were launching.
That makes sense. I would not be shocked to see this thing clad in some kind of exterior.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we are right by the ocean, too. So, I mean, any degree of help you can get from that really corrosive saltwater air is...
Probably don't want birds just invading the entire structure, pooping everywhere as they do.
Load-bearing LEDs.
Oh, please no. Okay. Okay.
Please no. Who are you? What do you mean, please no?
I'm me. I'm an Apple product purchaser. I'm not a PC gamer with an LED festooned case.
Oh gosh.
Boo. Boo
Team Mac. No.
Let me just get on my soapbox for...
Disconnect Jack.
Oh my god. Let me get on my soapbox for like 10 seconds and say, it's extremely dark out in Boca Chica. There's not a lot of light pollution, even though South Padre Island's like 5 miles away. You can see a lot of stars out there, and you can see Milky Way, too. A giant, bright, laser LED-filled projection having on it launch tower would...
Only during launches.
Okay,
Can
that's
we
fine.
compromise?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just don't want... I'm generally not a fan of more light pollution. But yeah,
That's
if
a
it's
good
during...
point. That is a really good point.
If it's during a launch, I'm on board. But just like constantly
just look
lasers...
at chat, Jack. Look
Oh,
at
is
chat,
there...
all
You
the
do a
booing.
poll. Oh, God.
All
Why
the
would you
booing
do
as
that?
well.
And it's
Master race.
It's 14% for Mac. That's hilarious. Okay.
No!
Anyways, if you like your LEDs and your PCs, go enjoy your things. I'm gonna go in my corner and play with my blocks.
Look, I just want to be able to look at my PC and know how much LOX and methane there is in it.
And you play GTA 5 on a Apple product?
I play it on console. Oh God, I can't believe I just said that out loud. I admitted it on stream. I play console.
Tom just said he voted for PC on a Mac.
Wait,
Nice.
what?
Oh,
Nice.
Learned his
All right.
lesson.
Well, at the risk of getting this trolley slightly more off the rails than it is already, let's go back to some questions. I'm sorry I said anything. I recant. I repent. Let's see. Good question though from Dinakius. I can't even say your name. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's what we think about the launch tower. Speaking of the launch tower, that we're waiting for the 9th piece to be lifted, Mathis JMJ is asking, this is the final section of the tower, right? I don't think we know, but I think we're fairly certain, but we don't know for sure, or what do you guys think?
Sure.
Final?
Has to
Okay.
be.
Because they
But
have
we-
caps on the top. There's no place to put
Yeah.
additional segments on.
Ah.
But there is
Alright.
supposed to be a lightning rod. We know that from the FAA document. There is supposed to be a lightning rod. So it's going to get. I think the document said the lightning tower was 10 feet tall, approximately. So it will get slightly taller.
But no, like, big honking crane on top of this section that comprises another section or something like that. We don't think.
No. You can see the pulleys, or the wheels for the pulleys.
Yeah,
So
and there's
we
like
think-
there's that big electric motor and stuff down there
Yeah.
at the base of it, in the spot that I affectionately call the lifting shack.
A lifting shack.
So
Lift
there's
shack,
gonna be.
baby, lift shack. I'm sorry.
Oh
It's
no.
essentially a winch, not a crane. The winch is at the bottom, and then there's the pulleys at the top, and there'll be arms that move up and down the side of the tower on those
What-
trolley tracks.
What is a crane though, except a big structure with a winch at the bottom?
Okay, well, we're gonna
gosh,
have to
I
we're gonna have to
guess.
get into a philosophical discussion, like the Socratic method. Like, what is crane?
I
What
was
is
just
crane?
I was just gonna say, like, I'm here for this conversation. Yes.
It's probably more accurate to say that the entire tower is a crane as opposed to the
It having a
tower has a
crane.
crane on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Although it could be sort of a non-luffing jib, because what is Frankencrane besides a crane with another lesser crane stacked on top of it? I mean, I'm
a
just
lesser
saying.
crane.
Like, look, I'm not kidding. That's like a crane with
I know.
another crane on top.
The crane.
You're not wrong. Yo, dog, we heard you like cranes.
We heard you like cranes.
Well, I mean, if you look at the crane to the left of it, the yellow one is a little baby crane. Little baby.
Yeah, and it's fun because that yellow one, that LR 11,000, is even bigger than Tankzilla, which Tankzilla's gone now. Rest in peace, Tankzilla. R.I.P. Rest in pieces.
They literally have to take it apart to transport it. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
accurate.
It's resting. It's in pieces. But yeah, even that tiny little 11,000 now dwarfs the 1600/2. So it's been an ever evolving game of cranes here. What are they gonna do with these four biggies? It looks like they're saddling up next to the yellow structure.
I think they're going to combine together to form like a bigger crane.
Yes, yes. It'll be like a
Voltron
Transformers
crane.
type situation. Yeah.
Can
So it
you
looks
make
like
the noise.
doo-doo-doo-doo. I don't know what is Voltron.
What?
What's it? I don't
Oh, it's
remember
like,
Thank you. Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'll be the head.
like thank you.
I bet those are just for like assembling the little things like the yellow structure and like placing like GSE pipes in and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It's
Yeah.
ironic. They're called biggies, but they're some of the smallest cranes on site.
That is true.
You know,
Uh,
we're talking about cranes and stuff. I feel sorry for Booster 3. I know Rocket Star feelings, but Booster 3's been out there it's sort of rolled out like a big fanfare. The first Super Heavy to go to launch site. It had a little static fire. Everything looked great, and now it's just been left there. No engines, just been left in the stand, and everyone's watching this orbital launch tower being built. So, like, we don't know what they're going to do with Booster 3. I assume it's going to have to leave there at some point, and the fear is they might get the steel cutters to it. But it's, I hope. I mean, I'm a hoarder in life anyway, so I hope they put it next to 15 and 16 and make a display out of it.
Yep.
Chris,
Yeah.
you know if you're talking about Booster 3, you can point the camera at it, right?
I can, but I don't now because I can't multitask. I can't talk and point.
No. You're going to have to learn.
I know.
I'm going to be watching for that one to move. Carry on, folks. We were doing some robot operator training earlier, y'all, increasing the number of NSF team members who have the proper credentials to operate robots. So
Pretty
be
wild.
warned.
It's pretty wild
Yeah.
to be able to do.
pretty cool. You get a little,
I'll tell you. Tell you
You
what,
get a
look, there's
little
8,000.
badge on the bottom of your driver's license.
You get an endorsement.
Actually, I will. There's 8,000 people in here right now. What the plan is on our 24/7 stream, which I'm going to link now, because I guarantee you some people still don't realise we're doing 24/7 now, because it is quite new, to be fair. So I'll put it into chat. The idea is that's 24/7. You know, everyone knows what 24/7 is. You're looking at it 24/7, but we want to basically improve that a little bit. And one idea I had, where I have one good idea every month, is to basically do 1 hour on an evening just taking Q&A, because I guarantee you by tomorrow there'll be more questions people want answering, and they might not want to go on the forum and ask and wait for someone to reply to them. They might not want to go into chat rooms or Discords or whatever and try asking there. We could just have basically a community chat. It won't be many people, and just take questions and answers. And also, because Daz has now trained me, I can point the camera around at various things of interest. So for an hour, say what, 3 p.m. Eastern, maybe 8 p.m. UK, just have an hour, just basically me and maybe someone else having a chat on the microphone and taking questions and also taking requests. So someone in chat goes, so can you just point a bit closer inside the high bay, see what Booster 4 is looking like? I can move the camera now. Move the camera towards the production site and then zoom in, enhance, zoom into the high bay and take the closest possible view we can of Booster 4. So it'd be things like that. More interactive, chat, good fun, no pressure, good laugh for an hour a night. So that's something we're going to do hopefully in the coming days.
Can't wait. Sounds like a good idea, and chat seems to agree. And speaking of which, I'm going to throw a triple Tory in chat just to be contrarian.
Raptor side chat, I think is what we were calling it. The Raptor side chats.
Definitely
Raptor
side chats.
Raptor
side
chats.
chat, yeah.
What static fireside chats?
Does that mean I have to does that mean I have to be in a real big leather chair with a dressing gown on the pipe in one hand? So like, welcome to Raptor Side Chat.
We'll get you a green screen and we'll put all the raptors behind you. It's all good.
like the Sherlock Holmes pipe, whatever those are called.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man. Yeah, check your mail, Chris. It's all on the way.
It's
no, I think
elementary,
that's
my dear Hopper.
I think it's a really good idea, and I am down also to do some stuff like that. Although I do think the trick there will be sort of breaking into the 24/7 stream gently, so you're not just like, "Hello, everybody," and everyone is suddenly deafened by the voice out of nowhere when their audio is up super loud and they're all enjoying listening to the ambient sound.
Wind and wave ambient sound.
Yeah.
And you know there'd be someone who was like at work and like had the ambient sound on because it's just the ocean, and then all of a sudden like the Yorkshire voice, "Good evening, everyone."
Now then.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It's like we need like a Quindar tone or something like that.
Yeah,
so when you hear that, there's like something that beeps for a minute before somebody starts talking to alert you that it's time to join us for tonight's Raptor Side Chat or Static Fireside Chat or whatever.
I think that's actually a fabulous idea. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah, we need even just like a loud bird. if we're gonna go with the ambient audio, right?
Jack.
I mean, people are hearing ocean sounds. And all of a sudden, they hear a really loud bird for like a minute. They're like, "Well, geez, what is this loud bird?" And they go to turn it down, and by the time you're talking, they're already turning it down. All right.
Well,
anyways.
dinosaurs and birds. I like that. So raptors get it.
What if someone's got the window open and the bird makes a noise? They'll think, "Oh, you're gonna go live on it." Well, I can't hear Chris. What's going on?
Actually, that would be hilarious if we attracted birds to people's houses with that. Yeah,
that'd be great.
I think we're
That's
safe.
a good idea. This is a 10-minute siren.
A 10-minute siren.
10-minute siren, yeah.
Before the overpressure event, as Chris takes the microphone.
Yeah. I'm gonna break your windows.
I think we're safe as long as we stick to a caw and tookie because we've established that does not work. No, come on, back me up, chat. Somebody knows that movie. Jack, you know that movie? You're giggling.
I don't.
Chat, help me out. Nobody on this stream knows caw and tookie.
Sounds vaguely familiar, but it's not ringing a bell.
I can see tumbleweed going across the screen.
Evolution?
Oh no!
Evolution.
Y'all have got it. Yeah.
Oh man, I need to rewatch that. It's been a while.
It's hilarious.
Basically, a giant Head and Shoulders product placement.
Spoilers.
Oh man, it's been too long. I actually just watched Galaxy Quest like a couple days ago, and it was amazing. But I have not watched Evolution in a minute. I'm gonna have to check that out.
No, I think, I think the last time I saw it might have actually been when it was in the theater.
Wow.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's really something, Chris. You know, we've got Sci-Fi, our UK version of Sci-Fi over here. They're rerunning Quantum Leap from the start.
Oh,
it's heaven.
Oh,
it's still good.
Wow. Old time Dracula. Yeah. Dean Stockwell, man, yeah.
Dean Stockwell before he turned nasty.
Before he became a Cylon, right?
Yeah.
Here's a question. Why was GSE number 4 scrapped?
Problems, we
Good
think.
question.
Isn't
I don't think we know for certain, right?
Nothing
Possibly,
certain.
like,
Elon's
design
not
issue?
bitten on any tweets or anything like that, but we do think they've had some problems with them. And they're just, well, it's not surprising. They're building them themselves. They're not being ordered in or anything like that. They're taking steel rings they use for Starship and basically making tanks out of it to save a bit of money and probably some time. And I think they're just tweaking the design a little bit and they've worked something out. It's very SpaceXy of them. I mean, let's face it, they used to blow up the starships for fun. I say for fun, but obviously, you know, they're not immune. They're not immune from having things where they design something and go, okay, that's not quite right. We'll redesign it slightly. And I think that's what they're just doing with the GSE tanks. Still be cheaper than buying them in.
Yeah, so they have a certain amount of capacity at their factory. They generally try to use that capacity at all times, whether they're building barrel sections for a booster, a ship, or GSE. They stopped building ships. They started building GSE. They transported 2 of those tanks to the launch site, and they sat there without any friends for a long time. And they didn't get the shells lowered over them, and they sort of kept up their building because they want to use the capacity that they have, right? And they got to a point where they were building number 4, and they took it apart to look at it, maybe, or maybe they just said, "Oh, this one's crap," and took it apart. But to me, it's the same as when they build nose cones, only to scrap the nose cone. But like we just saw, they built that nose cone, they cut a payload bay into it to see what that would look like, and then they scrapped it because they're just going to build more nose cones. It's not a big deal. It's cheap stainless steel. This is sort of how they build the machine that builds the machine. And so it seems like something happened to the GSE tanks that was not great, and they built them maybe too fast or whatever, because GSE 1 and 2 down at the launch site have been getting modifications for days and days now. Looks like they've been adding little hoops near each of the welds to sort of like reinforce them, right? So maybe GSE 4 got to a point where they're like, oh, well, everything after this we'll build the right way. Everything before this we'll modify to be how it needs to be. But this one we're going to take apart, and maybe they did some testing on it, or maybe they just took it apart and threw it away and started over. But that is why GSE 4 was scrapped, probably. I think that covers it, yeah?
Yeah.
It looks like they might be lifting the spreader up.
Hooray!
Mentioning it out, yeah, look at that.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers
Yep.
crossed.
I'm wondering.
Yeah, there it goes.
Oh, there we go.
Cool, so they'll get the taglines on there, they'll move the lifts away, and then they will get people holding the taglines, and they will lift this piece up to the tower. Woohoo!
Hey, can I point something out really quickly?
Hooray! Oh,
Absolutely, go for it.
Look how the rigging is on the segment's center of mass, it seems. Do you see how the rigging's not right between the 2 legs, like in the middle of the square tower segment?
Oh.
But it takes into account the beams and the pulley sticking off the side? I just noticed how obvious it is in Mary's shot.
They've got like an extension on the right cable.
Mhm. That right-hand cable is a little bit longer than the other ones, and the crane boom, or the main part of the crane there, comes down, and it's not directly in the middle of the square. It's in the towers. If I had to guess, it looks like it's in the tower's center of mass.
That's really nifty.
Yeah,
Good eye.
I just noticed it, how it's aligned that way.
I bet you that's why they do the whole test lift type thing. When they lift it up, they see which way it slides. They probably know which way it's going to slide, and then they re-rig it. Or maybe they thought they had it right the first time. I don't know. I just thinking about all the math that goes into this. Math.
that thing I was always told we'd need to use every day of our life, right?
You'll never have a calculator on you at all times, Chris.
Excel.
Let's see. Johan asking, any more info on possible work on a super heavy pad in Cape Canaveral?
Not yet. The only activity we have noticed or seen via satellite images at 39A is work that's at the side of the pad that would definitely appear to be where they're going to build the big vertical stacking integration building. The big building that they need to vertically integrate payloads with the Falcon 9 and the Falcon Heavy for the NSSL, or National Security Space Launch contracts. But fear not, we do understand that the plans are still to operate the ships from Kennedy as well. So work will begin at some point on those.
Very cool. I'm going to be sad when it goes to Kennedy just because I like Texas side of things, but hopefully they'll just be firing them off from both Texas and Kennedy, and maybe the Cape,
yeah.
and heck, maybe they'll convert Slick 6 into a super heavy pad, and I'll get ice cream, and we'll all get ponies, and we'll have race cars.
I don't know about Vandenberg.
I know. That's why I went to ice cream and ponies and race cars.
But I've not heard of any plan that like Florida would supersede Starbase.
They're clearly putting a
anything
lot of
like
work
that.
into Starbase, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's going to be great because so I live on the East Coast, and I'm able to see from where I am. I'm able to see the CRS launches, like all the launches to the space station from Wallops from Florida, the Starlink launches. So if they launch Starlink on Starship from Florida, I'll be able to see that from my backyard. And I've seen how bright an MVAC is, and that's like half the thrust of a Raptor. So 3 Raptors firing at once is going to be insane to see.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see that.
I remember seeing, on a similar vein, I remember seeing the shuttle all the time growing up in Tampa. Not being able to make it all the way out to Kennedy for a shuttle launch, but being able to go outside and just see the 2 utterly massive rods of flame coming out of the solid motors as that thing ascended into space. Oh man, it's always seeing rockets up close was super cool. Seeing rockets from any distance is super cool. Let's do some super chats here. Thank you to everybody for all of your support. David Ray, thanks for the new membership. If you guys don't know, the membership program has perks where you get like preview videos on YouTube, you get some chats or some emojis that you get to use in chat. You get to get access to our members Discord and all of the glory that comes with that. I think at Capcom level and above. And you support what we do on a monthly basis, and it really helps us sort of pay the bills and even more importantly plan out cool things to do in the future. I mean, just look at what we did with the 24/7 stream. That was in the works for a long time, and it's not the only thing we have in the works, and we really like to keep up doing what we're doing and keep adding to our coverage. So members, thank you to all of our members, and thank you to everyone super chatting. Ticonderoga, thanks for the support. They say, can non-SpaceX use this launch complex in the future? I don't think so. This is basically a private SpaceX facility, and I wouldn't see them opening that up to anybody or just any company. Sebastian, thank you for the support. They say I would spend lots of money on a pillowcase that has your Starbase or WinHop design on it. Just saying. Well, somebody screenshot that and send it to our store guy, because I agree. I think Starship sheets would be cool.
I do too.
I'm that kind of nerd. I'm not afraid to admit it. Let's see, Ronald Wislieb. Hopefully I didn't butcher your name. Thank you for the support. They say, how vulnerable to hurricanes is Starbase? I'd say considerably. In fact, part of the reason Boca Chica Village, the little neighborhood right there, does not have running water is because they built a water tank, I believe, and it was in like the 50s or the 60s, and it was like a brand new water tank, and it was like, yay, we're all going to have plumbing and water, and then a hurricane rolled through and destroyed. You can even still see that water tank on satellite view. Hurricane rolled through and destroyed all of that, and thus no plumbing in Boca Chica. But yes, I mean, what was it? Not last year, but the year before that, we saw a hurricane come through and sort of pause ops in the Starhopper or something. Okay, so no, it was last year, so it was around Starship times.
Yeah, Hurricane Hannah.
Hurricane Hannah last year. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, I mean, Chris, you're kind of you live in the Gulf Coast. You know what's up with hurricanes. How would you describe Starbase's vulnerability in terms of hurricanes?
About the same as Florida in terms of the strike potential. The trickier part with Boca Chica, as opposed to Cape Canaveral Space Force Station or the Kennedy Space Center, is yes, they're both on the coastlines, but when we say Boca Chica's at sea level, oh wow, we mean Boca Chica's at sea level. I mean, regular high tides and roads are flooding. So storm surge is a big issue at both places, but Boca is a little bit lower than the Cape and Kennedy, so that's definitely a consideration, especially as things go forward. But I mean, in terms of hurricanes, like it's about the same chance that of Florida. It just depends on what the large weather patterns are at the time, and then what the specific steering currents are as to whether or not it'll hit. But yeah, Hannah came close last year.
Yeah, I mean, and even back in the Starhopper days, right? The Starhopper's nose cone blew over. It wasn't in a hurricane, but that was in a strong wind. So, I do think that since then they secure these things super well, and I wouldn't be too worried about them in a high wind. But a hurricane level, hurricane force winds are totally different beasts. So.
Yeah. Speaking of sea level, I can do this real quick. So you can see
There you go.
the salt flats there, and that's basically sea level. Like
Yeah.
you get the wind. When the wind blows in different directions, water will actually come into that bay area, that flat area, based on the direction of the wind. And you can see there's some areas where water is constantly standing there, but that is literally right across from the launch site. It is right at sea level.
Yeah,
Yep.
that is Boca Chica Bay right there. It's part of the South Bay, which is basically a little super shallow offshoot from the shipping channel that separates South Padre Island with Boca Chica. And sometimes there's 6 inches of water all the way up to the road, or almost all the way up to the road, or the grass area, I guess. And sometimes it's just looks like a salt flat or just a flat playa type surface. But it just varies depending on winds and tides and all of that. And yeah, it's basically at sea level, so that's something to think about.
And actually
Definitely.
saying Boca Chica Village, I believe, is only like 6 feet above sea level.
Sounds about
So
right.
if you get some good storm surge, things get bad. But I mean, also the drainage. It's tough to have drainage when you're that
Right.
low to sea level, because like the only reason I'm noticing it, I was going to go for a civil engineering major, so I look at drains and stuff. But I remember seeing like aerial photography and stuff. Like they dig ditches that are only like a foot or two deep because that's all you can get, and that's why they have such bad drainage issues at the build site, the village, everywhere. It's crazy to see. And I mean, also with you talking about the hurricane that messed them up in the 60s, the area where the production site is now was going to be another part of the neighborhood, another part of the village. But they stopped building it because, hey, there was a bad hurricane. We don't want that to happen again. And yeah, now they have room to build a production site.
Yep. Let's see. That's back in the day when it was Copernic Shores, and looks like Hurricane Beulah, Beulah, in 1967.
Huh.
What, like Ferris?
I was gonna say, like, Beulah. The New England
think
version.
That's a quick Google right there. So I could be wrong, but that's a little bit of history of the area there. Let's see. Some more super chats. Thank you to everybody for all your support. Toast the Toasted, saying thanks for these
Jack,
amazing.
Look, we have air.
We're
Sorry.
getting lifted.
Oh.
It's going up. Excellent.
And we're looking right there above the top of the white pickup that just drove in. There's that United Rentals orange thing right in the middle of the screen, and then the tower, the gray tower segment to the right of that. Thanks, Van. Good timing. But you can see just park there. It's fine. You're fine. Whatever. Appreciate you. You can see there's a teeny tiny bit of daylight between the. Thanks. Everybody's just driving by. The gray tower segment and then the brown sort of rusty colored. You can see through that. So that's what we're looking at right there, y'all.
Yep. Tower section's going up. That's what we want to see. Let's see. Elizabeth Chase, thanks for the support. DK something, thanks for the support. Rough Riders, thank you for the support and for being Team Mac. Stephen Devereaux, thank you for the support. They thank Mary for being out in the heat. Josh Wilson, thank you for the support. Let's see, this is why I love watching your streams the best. You guys always have a ton of fun on stream, and I sit here laughing along with you. Well, good. I'm glad our moderate insanity is amusing to you. It's amusing to me, too. Let's see. Dennis, thank you for the $20. Super appreciate that. Brian Chester.
No, it just went back down.
Oh, no. Well, we have to keep hanging out. Not a problem. We like hanging out.
Goal.
Let's see. Spiffy Billy, thanks for the support. Mike Thomas, thanks for the membership. I'm clicking the things. I don't know if they're actively changing. Does not seem like they are. Please change. There we go. Brian Chester, thanks for the new membership. Okay, here's one. It might take us a minute to answer. If the thing's going back down, maybe we have a little bit of time to answer it. If Starship achieves its design goals in reusability and launch cadence, are space planes dead? No. You take that back, Toast the Toasted. You take that back. How about we do this? Chris G, go. What is your answer? Are space planes dead if Starship achieves its goals?
No, I don't think so.
All right, Chris G said no. Chris B, what do you? No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
No. That might honestly be it. Because Starship isn't trying to be the end all be all that does everything. And I think there are still things that space planes could be good for, right? I mean, smaller versions of transportation systems that are fully reusable are just as viable as these large, huge systems like Starship, which are more designed to do a lot of interplanetary stuff as well.
Yeah, if you think of a Starship as like a spacefaring A380, I could envision a lot of different situations where if suborbital point-to-point actually does become a thing, you don't need a whole A380 to go suborbital from one point to one point. You might want something more like a Spaceship Two sized
Right.
vehicle that can actually land in a normal airport and doesn't have to deal with a 10-mile exclusion zone and landing out at sea because of the sonic booms and the sometimes maybe small little space planes will have a role in the future.
It
Chris
looks
B,
like,
go. Anybody else
sorry,
have any
really
answers for
quick, it
that?
looks like the lifts went back up, so they're going to detach it again.
They're probably going to tweak the bridle again or whatever you call it, the load spreader. Tweak it a little bit, and then reattach it. You know how it goes. So does anyone else want to prognosticate on space planes in the future?
Yeah.
Go.
I think Starship is the most capable vehicle we're going to have online compared to even the ones that I proposed. It's something that you got to appreciate. Starship has got an end goal, and that is to be an interplanetary heavy lift, super heavy lift launch vehicle, capable of doing all the things that all the vehicles can do now and more. But it'll still be demand for things like CRS-2, which is like Dream Chaser, which is a space plane. Technically, it's a lifting body, but it's a space plane by nature. What we look at as a space plane. That's the kind of thing you need where you can have a return to a runway. And that's an important factor for things like ISS resupply, because when they bring back the critical time-sensitive supplies from the space station, they need to get them into the laboratory as soon as possible, as soon as they return from space. That's why you see when cargo dragons return, the first thing to do is get it back to port and get the supplies off the dragon, because they are critical supplies that their experiments are maybe in little freezers called glaciers, where they need to get them into the laboratory straight away. So the space plane brings that capability of getting the down mass back to Earth ASAP and to a runway, so they've got no delay in trying to fish out a drink or anything like that. There's lots of capabilities that you do need as well with point to point. I think the dream point to point scenario is where you've got Starship doing the long haul flights, the ones where they're going from like London to Australia and things like that. But you also have like Spaceship 2 kind of vehicles, just suborbital, where they'll do the internal domestic flights, maybe from say LA to New York. So there's all those capabilities you can bring online.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think the future of human point-to-point is space planes, suborbital space planes, but probably something that has wings that can do things like, I don't know, divert and glide. And then like long haul or big cargo stuff, when it's not human lives at stake. I think Starship's really going to fill that role. And I think Starship may fly people that way at some point, but oh man, give me some wings, please.
Yep. Yeah. The way you put it, to divert and glide, that ability to sort of go to a different runway, or if the weather's bad here, sort of cross range and go over there, or what have you. I don't know, Ian, do you have any thoughts here?
I'm similar with Chris B. I think that there's absolutely a place for space planes, and I liked his comment on getting cargo right back to a runway. I think that's one of the great things about Dream Chaser. So if you have very critical time-sensitive cargo, you put it in Dream Chaser, you land at the shuttle landing facility, and depending on like how long post-processing is after landing, like defueling, you can get your cargo back like within that day. Like that
Gosh, I
is.
love Dream Chaser. Team
Oh,
Dream Chaser.
I wish they did Dream Chaser instead of Starliner, but anyway, that's over. But yeah, I think there's absolutely a spot for space planes in the future as just like a different way to go to space.
Is Dream Chaser a space plane or a space lifting body?
It's a lifting body, but we call it a space plane because they call it the daughter of shuttle. So SNC always
Yeah.
make a big point of comparing it to the orbiters.
I'm just making the lifting body joke because we had that conversation that one time where we saw like the conflicting NASA definitions on what a lifting body, or what it was like. What is a lifting body? Anyways, let's see. Good question though from Toast to the Toasted there. Some good conversation, and thank you for the super chat. Ian, do you have to head out?
I believe I have to. I feel bad leaving before any action even happens, but I guess
What are
we
you
didn't see
talking
this
about?
come.
All kinds of
um,
action happened. They hooked it up, they unhooked it, they hooked it up again, they're unhooking it again. That's
we
all
had some
kind.
we had some big reinforcements come in.
Yeah, we had the Biggie cranes arrive, the Biggie crew. But well, either way, thanks for joining us. I mean,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
that counts as action, if you ask me.
Hey, yeah, and best of luck with the rest of the stream. See y'all guys later.
Cool.
Sure,
Have a good
yeah,
night, buddy.
You too.
All right, now that he's gone, we can talk about how
Can lift it.
1X was stupid.
What?
Isn't Ian a Ares 1 fan?
Yes, he is.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
We
I
could
get-
say bad things about the silly rocket now, can't we?
Yeah, pencil
Although I
rocket.
think Thomas might turn up if we do.
Let's see. Arthur Bridges, have we had any discussion about the future super high bay? We
bay?
have not really. The wide bay, is that what we're calling it?
I'm calling it the wide bay. Just I'm trying to will that into existence, but we'll see what the footprint actually looks like.
So that's what Elon tweeted, right? He said it's
Yeah.
not going to be much taller, which means it will be taller, but not by a lot. Which makes sense because they had to cut off a ring of booster 1 because it wouldn't fit out the door because they built the high bay too small.
No, I don't think we can perpetuate that. Remember that the bridge crane wasn't in yet, and they had to use that crazy load spreader on the top and literally drop the crane through the roof of the high bay.
All right, I mean, fair. We don't know that they had to cut a ring off of booster 1 because the high bay is too small, but if I was a betting man, that's what hilariously that's what I would bet, and it seems like a ridiculous statement to make, but hey, that's. Anyways, let's talk about
specifically. They cut a ring off the segment, but we don't know that it's because the high bay was too small.
correct.
Right. We know they cut a ring off. We don't know it's because of a problem with the high bay because the high bay was not at its final form yet. It didn't have the bridge crane and stuff. So, anyways, more high bays sounds like more fun. Sorry, Jack.
No. I mean, there's people that have done the math and said, even with the bridge crane at maximum height and a small transport stand, it would have to be, centimeters of clearance or something like that. Anyways, I'm not a mathometer.
Stand came out of there like.
Let's see. Well,
right. I mean,
but yeah, wide bay. I like wide bay. Wide bay sounds good to me, especially if it's actually super wide, which I think is what Elon tweeted, right?
I think so.
I think you mentioned there's 2 bays, kind of like it's almost like twice the width maybe of the current high bay, and slightly taller. So that's what I think he's going for.
But
Yeah,
why
he
would it
said,
be
like-
taller unless they needed a taller high bay for a super heavy.
Yeah, and Booster 4 and Booster 3. Well, I don't think we know with Booster 4 yet, but Booster 3 is 1 ring short than what it is supposed to be. It's 68 meters instead of 70 or something like that. So Booster 3 is shorter than our previous understanding of what a super heavy would be, and that could be because high bay tiny.
Possibly.
Possibly, maybe, potentially tiny. But yeah, I mean, what more is there to really say about a potential wide bay other than wide bay is the obvious name?
I like
All
it.
right.
Wide bay.
Yeah, wide bay. I think we just decided that.
I feel bad for saying it, but some people will keep suggesting the 420 bay.
Oh.
I mean, if it was much taller, I would say the higher bay or the super high bay or something like that. But I mean, honestly, if it's just a high bay but slightly taller but much wider, I think DOS is. I think we can successfully will that into existence. DOS wide bay sounds good to me.
Y'all just label the videos. Like if you label the video enough, people will start saying that. So.
Let's see. Gudgeon Bjornsson. Thank you for the support. They say more. Oh, we should have done this when Ian was still here. It's a 22-minute-old super chat too. Thank you, Gudgeon. More videos with Ian, longer and with updates from around the space industry, not just SpaceX. That's a simple request.
There you go.
Simple in air quotes, but no, it's not a bad idea. So thank you for the enjoying those update videos. I know Ian and Brady put a lot of work into the most recent ones. So let's see. Steven says I like chicken. I'm glad you do, buddy.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, right. Desmo Bluefire says tower hop complete, but not completely complete. It was a micro hop. Lars says Ferris Bueller 2024. I'm on board. Thank you, everybody, for the support. And don't forget, don't feel bad if you don't have money to super chat or be a member or whatever. Just hit the like button. Just subscribe. Just tell your friends about our channel if you think they like space stuff. That's never a bad call for sharing our channel. So don't feel like you have to support monetarily. The cool thing about everybody doing so is that they are helping people who can't get this feed. So thank you so much to everyone that can support us, and to everyone that can't, no worries. Everyone is doing their part in their own way. Mad Biker, thank you for the support. They say, found a shuttle cockpit poster for Chris. How do I send it to him? Big A1 poster. I think Chris's DMs are open on Twitter, right, Chris?
Yeah, I already replied to him as soon as I saw it in chat, saying I've got open DMs, which I guarantee you don't want to have if you got any kind of followers, because it's horrendous.
Yep.
But it's worthwhile for the few DMs you get, like, which will be related to that poster. So yeah, my DMs are open, and I believe I will deal with him there.
Cool. Thank you so much there, Mad Biker. Psychotic Wolf, thank you. Everyone's got interesting names today. Psychotic Wolfie, thank you for the support. They say, do you think it would be better for SpaceX to build a seawall, or do you think they should tug their oil rig launch platform to where Starbase is in a few decades when the sea level rises? Floating city. It's going to be like Waterworld, but with rockets, right?
I that's what I imagine.
I don't know. I'm not a geoengineer. I don't know if a seawall is the right thing to do. The ground might be too permeable. I don't know how all that works, but certainly that'll be something that they look out for going into the future.
Yeah.
Smooth Juice, thank you for support. They say, on your latest Twitter, put a picture of some grippers that seriously need... Please help me get there? You lost me there, Smooth Juice. Anyone want to take a crack at that?
I don't
Grippers?
know.
What was it? Grippers.
On your latest Twitter, you put a picture of some grippers that seriously need to be on Starbase. Please help me get there.
No, I think that's the wrong number.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
that might have been some...
Rippers, yeah.
I thought maybe Chris B would be like, oh, this is some slang that you don't know about, Jack, because you're a silly
No.
American. But let's see. Rough Rider Show with a robot question. Asking about rainy or cloudy days. Battery is
Good
how...
question? Let me see here.
Robot question. So if it's rainy or cloudy, how do you keep the cams powered? Generator? Not a generator.
Oh, battery banks.
Battery
So there's all sorts of math that goes into it, Rough Riders, but basically we can operate for days on battery only, and the solar arrays are actually such that even on an overcast day, the solar array will make enough power to run the robots, even if it can't recharge the battery. So when the sun's up above a certain angle, the arrays are specifically sized such that even a completely overcast day will still operate the robots, and then we just have to go through the night periods when we have no solar energy on battery power. And then the arrays, because the arrays are oversized, if we get one sunny day, we can account for multiple cloudy days or multiple rainy days with one single sunny day. The arrays will charge back up in a couple hours. It's a ratio of sizing the arrays to the amp hours of the battery banks on it. And I've got a couple different array sizes and a couple different battery bank sizes, but it's just math based on the cameras that are on the robots and the amount of the size of the solar array. It's just some calculations. But we can deal with a couple we can deal with a couple rainy days, cloudy days, not that big of a deal. Overnight, all just calculated on the arrays and the battery banks. Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I'll ramble on that forever. I'll talk to you about that forever because that was a ton of work to figure out.
It's just some calculations and some carrying super heavy batteries out in the middle of nowhere, and some carrying super heavy panels out in concrete blocks to hold it all down. No, it's don't slight yourself. It's a lot of work.
It is. It's pretty good. It's a significant amount of work. It took me almost 3 weeks down there upgrading all of our power infrastructure to support the great festooning.
The great
Festooning has cometh. Let's see, Graham Edwards. Thanks for the support. They say in the UK we need permission to build anything. This is mostly public, so we'd know the Starbase plan. Does the U.S. not have the same? We sort of do know the Starbase plan in general, right? From FAA filings, from environmental reports and whatnot. So it kind of is the case. So we do kind of have the same, right?
Oh yeah. Like SpaceX definitely needed. Oh boy, I'm not sure how we're gonna. How do we want to do this? SpaceX definitely needed permission from the FAA, right, to build out Boca Chica in general. Yes, there's the whole maybe the tower isn't correct per that. But I think this leads
Paperwork.
to your but I think this leads to your question, right? Is like there are questions right now about like that tower might not meet the requirements, and they might, and the FAA, sorry, not the FAA, uh, the Environmental Protection Agency can come back and force them to take it down if they violate something that isn't in the proposed agreement. So yeah, no, you need planning permission, you need all of that here as well. Yeah.
But the reference to the UK is probably where even worse, because if you want to cut down a tree in your garden, you've got to ask the council for permission. And if you want to build an extension,
geez.
like a room, like a sunroom to your house, you need planning permission. It is, and they will knock it down if you don't got it. So, it's very strict over here.
Oh wow, yeah.
I'm just getting Hitchhiker's Guide vibes. We're gonna put a highway through your lawn.
Oh yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
told me, but the plans have been in the planning department for 6 months. Why didn't you go object? You guys get
The
it.
councils are all powerful.
Let's see, Dennis. Thanks for the support there. The Borg. Thank you for the Bay of Dreams, saying the Bay of Dreams. I am Locutus of Borg. You are Borg. I am Locutus of Borg. Resistance is useless.
Futile.
Yeah, futile. Thank you. Futile. Richard Palmer. Thanks for the support. They say Big Bay. And Aaron Huslage. What's up, Aaron? Saying Bay, 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 Bay.
What?
Hey, I don't write them, Das. I just read them.
The Michael Bay, High Bay.
Atabe? Kidding? Oh, gotta be kidding. Haha, I get it. Thanks for the support. And I click it, and I wait for it to show up, and it shows up, and I say thank you. Let's see, a couple more of these, and we'll go back to some user questions, or some standard chat questions. ATL Tom? Is that Atlanta Tom? I'm gonna assume that you're Atlanta
Yes, it is.
Tom.
Yeah, Atlanta United do that.
Thanks for the support there, buddy. They say thanks for another episode of Rocket Science Theater 3000. Your guys' commentary is always super entertaining and informative. Well, thanks.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I often worry if we go, and by we I mean I, go down too many ridiculous rabbit holes. But you know what? Crunchy peanut butter is the best, and so is oven bacon. So y'all can deal with the insanity.
Oven bacon's one of the best. I'm with you on that one.
It's good.
Actually, if that person wants to write back that ATL stands for Atlanta, because I just know that as a random fact from watching MLS that ATL is a chant to do at Atlanta United FC, so I'm assuming it's Atlanta.
That's why
ATL is the call letters for the Atlanta airport too. Anyone trying to fly out of Florida knows that.
Let's see, Psycher asking, I live in Houston and want to drive down to Boca Chica to watch the orbital flight when it happens. How do I know when to head out? Where exactly do people go to watch in person? And where can I stay overnight if I need to? All right, well, first off, you'll know. Trust me, you'll know when to head out. There'll be a fully stacked system on the pad, and then there will be TFRs up for the FAA, and everyone will be talking about it on Twitter. And Mary will get an evac notice, and all the pieces will be in place. You're going to want to watch from South Padre Island. It's about 5 miles away. It's one of the closest, if not the closest place people can watch from. Just go to Isla Blanca Park. It's a public park. It's at the extreme southern tip of South Padre Island, and that's where I've watched all of them from. That's where you can watch from. It's where a bunch of people watch from. It's a nice standard rocket launch, shuttle vibe, like party atmosphere, sort of everyone's sort of tailgating and waiting for the thing to do the thing. And there's plenty of hotels and whatnot on South Padre Island where you can stay, and so that's what I would recommend in brief. Does anyone else have anything to add to that?
Load spreader's going.
The load spreader's going away again. I think the last thing I would say to the question about where can you stay overnight if needed, that's going to be the trickiest part of that equation, because places will book up very, very, very quickly. So yeah, you might not be in Brownsville if you need to overnight somewhere in the area, and you should probably plan.
Not Brownsville, but South Padre Island, because there's so many hotels on South Padre Island, and there's a bunch more in Brownsville. So
are there enough though? Because this is what I always hear is, right, like people always go, oh, they're a big spring break destination. It's like, yes, but are there a million people influxing for one event on one day? That's the
I
type of
mean,
search that I'm
not
always
necessarily.
really
There used to
concerned
be,
with.
actually.
Yeah.
There used to
Really?
be. Oh, when I was in school down in South Texas, the beach was 10 or 15 miles of cars parked like 10 rows of cars. It was ridiculous, the number of people that would go to South Padre Island. So, you know, a million people, I don't know the exact number, but it used to be a very huge tourist destination specifically for spring break. It just you would never go there because there was way too many people, right? And that's sort of dropped off recently. And so I know they have a ton of infrastructure. Is it a million or not? Can it handle Starship levels of hype? I don't know. But they have a lot of infrastructure that's just been sitting because it used to be such a huge destination that sort of fell off. It was a lot when I was going out there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't put it past the interest in Starship to be big enough that maybe it can max out the hotels on South Padre Island. I could see that happening, but
So yeah,
Yeah.
there's also
Yeah.
hotels in Brownsville. I think your first choice would be South Padre Island, and then if South Padre Island's full, then do Brownsville. Because if you're on South Padre Island and you're watching from Isla Blanca Park, you could practically walk to Isla Blanca Park. Whereas
Yeah.
if you're staying in Brownsville, it's going to be like a 30-minute, 45-minute drive to Isla Blanca Park to get to your viewing spot. So just a thought there. I don't know.
Tom
You know.
Mayer in chat says you can sleep in your car in Walmart in Port Isabel.
Yeah, I mean that's also
Yeah.
a thing. As someone who
Yeah.
sleeps in his truck all the time, that is an option. Although, please find better, more beautiful places to sleep than Walmart parking lots. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
Load spreader, come back, load spreader. They're gonna adjust it. They're gonna make it how they want it to be, and they're gonna put it back. Don't worry. Let's see. But that's hopefully that's a good answer for you there, Psyker. Thank you for the support. Remy Turk, thanks for the support. They say, do you expect SpaceX's thermal tiles to have any of the problems that Space Shuttle tiles had? Keep up the great work. I do not. I think, on the one hand, they are made of a different material, so hopefully they're more resilient to impact and cracking, but we don't know that. On another hand, one of the many problems I know with the shuttle tiles, right, guys, is that they sort of were almost all unique, and so you had to replace a tile with its specific replacement tile, whereas on Starship, it's going to sort of be many of the same tiles with hopefully a smaller number of unique tiles. Is that fair to say?
It is.
That's part of, yeah, that's part of it. But I think the biggest problem is with shuttle was side mounted, so the TPS tiles were getting hit by pieces of foam from the external tank, whereas Starship is in line, so there's nothing hitting the tiles. So that's it's such a big thing where the tiles won't be impacted by these even the smallest amounts of foam at a certain velocity. It does damage them, so that's why they have to replace them. So they'll be literally just waiting for tiles maybe to pop off, and that's the things have to replace. But as far as damage goes, there's a lot less risk with an inline vehicle.
Yeah, not side slinging the vehicle on the side of a stack that is shedding foam and ice and everything is a pretty huge design difference there.
Yeah. The thing.
All right.
Well,
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, the only thing I'm more interested in is, aside from what you all just said, is what are the new things that we don't know because we've never put tiles on an inline vehicle that's totally exposed from the moment of ignition and liftoff to getting into orbit. And another thing I'm really interested in is, the shuttle had a very smooth thermal protection system with not a lot of bumps and ridges on it, whereas this thermal protection system just kind of ends. And Starship has a very different entry profile and descent profile than the shuttle had. So I'm more interested in what are the new problems we don't know about because they haven't flown a full flight envelope yet.
All right, and then Das is going to say something snarky. What are you going to say, Das?
I don't know. No, absolutely not. I wasn't going to say anything snarky.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I've been working on a thing here with our buddy Jay, and I am just about ready to show it. So can I have a second?
Yeah, go.
Yeah, so I'm just going to hop over real quick. We know that they've put that on the ground again, right? But I'm going to hop back over to our highway cam, which is what you can see there. And since we were talking earlier about the wide bay, our buddy Jay, who's one of the photographers and guy that does cool stuff for NSF, has actually put that together for us.
Oh, the wide bay. of what the wide bay would look like. That's funny.
So that's an edit, of course, clearly. But
Yeah.
I took a photo with the highway cam earlier, and he took the high bay and he superimposed in what the wide bay might look like. You can see it's a little bit taller, and it is sort of in that back area. Elon said it was going to be to the north, but that is, of course, a Photoshop. That is not a real photo. You can hop back to the live camera like that, and the lighting is completely different because I took that earlier this morning. But that is what the wide bay. Maybe the doors will be facing a different direction. We don't know. That's just an artist's rendering of what the wide bay may look like.
Oh my god.
I feel like you rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, and that's what I'm imagining in my head. But
And
that
it would be the other way, like wide to the side.
sort of doors opening towards the mid bay, yeah.
Yeah,
Wide, hashtag wide to the side.
wide to the side.
Wide to the side.
So anyways, that's what I was working on. Jay had sent me that in the background, and I was working on lining up the camera so that it was pretty much not exactly the same angle. I couldn't get it exactly right. But anywho, we return you to your previously scheduled crane operations.
/ shuttle discussion, which
Yeah.
a couple things I wanted to talk about in terms of space shuttle tiles versus Starship tiles. One, they did have a problem with tiles staying on at first, right? But they solved that problem, right, guys?
Yeah, oh yeah, and it wasn't even a problem of them like coming off during liftoff, even though Columbia did lose a few on STS-1 at solid rocket ignition. It was when they strapped her to the back of the 747 in California to send her across the country in February, I think was the original target, February of '79. They started down the runway on the 747, and tiles just started like a zipper, just coming off the vehicle, and they weren't even off the ground on an airplane yet, and they had to come back and they had to figure out exactly, you know, how to get the vehicle stable enough and into a stable enough configuration to fly her across the country. And then once they were able to do that, when she was delivered in March of '79, then it took a year, almost 2 years. It took from March of '79 to November of '80 to redo all of the tiles with the new adhesive pattern and everything like that before they could roll her to the VAB. Yeah.
Yeah, so
But then, yes, they solved it. Yes. Sorry. That was your question.
yeah, sort of what I was getting at is, we might see some tiles be lost on the first couple of flights. We might see some changes that need to be made with them. But I expect any problems they encounter to be solvable and, solvable pretty quick. But the other thing I wanted to mention really quickly about this, because, we love Space Shuttle here. Of course, we're going to talk about it while they get this load spreader readjusted, looks like. There was a shuttle mission where they lost a tile, but they lost it over was it STS-27?
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah,
It was STS-27. They took a hit or something like that, and they lost a tile. They lost like 700 something tiles.
Yeah.
And when they got back on the ground and they looked at the vehicle, they were like, "Oh my God, what?" And there was one part where they lost an entire tile, and the only reason it didn't burn through and cause a catastrophic loss of vehicle is because right under where that tile was a stainless steel plate that was like an antenna mounting point or something like that. I actually don't know if it was stainless steel, but I think it was a steel plate. All that is to say, if they do lose tiles on Starship, we don't know necessarily how catastrophic that would immediately be, given that unlike Shuttle, which had a delicate and extremely meltable aluminum airframe, Starship is all stainless steel, and so it can take a higher heat from re-entering before losing some of its structural properties. So I don't know to what extent that plays into them not need, like you said, Chris, the thermal protection shield just sort of ends, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's because it's steel and not aluminum, right? Or maybe we'll see some thermal blanketing on the leeward side in the future, or who knows? But I do want to there is that major difference between Shuttle and Ship, in that Ship is stainless steel, Shuttle was aluminum at its core, and Aluminum meltable, very meltable.
Yeah, and the only thing I wanted to add to that, Jack, because everything you said about STS-27 spot on, is just wanting to highlight that that was a debris strike from thermal protection insulation that broke off of the nose cone of the right-hand solid rocket booster and slammed Atlantis on that one on her right wing. So yeah, I mean definitely like the big difference. I mean, the biggest difference, which is what Chris pointed out in his answer earlier on, is not side mounting this vehicle is going to be the biggest boon to the thermal protection system, and its ability to make it to orbit in one piece.
Yep. Yeah, very good point. And also robots. Robots and computers are way better now. Maybe instead of laborious tile inspections on the shuttle, we can get a couple robots in there with some machine learning and some computer vision and just go boop 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 boop. Check out. Okay, good. Get some lasers and some lidar. Just throw the whole bucket of water at it and let robots do the
Launchpad's
job.
going back
instead
up.
of- Oh, hey.
Oh, there we go. No, Jack, exactly. Like I just imagine like I mean like in some futuristic thing like the towers are also equipped with a scanning boom that just like in Star Trek goes zoop 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 done and
Yeah.
it goes tile 8620 replace. You know.
Yeah, and a little robot flies up and does it. I mean, come on.
Oh, drone tile replacement. My God, I would love that.
Someday. But really good question there, Remy Tarek, as evidenced by the extended diatribe it spurred. Richard Morgan, thank you for the support. They're saying we've really improved our broadcast videos and total coverage over the last 18 months. Thanks, and keep up the great work. Well, thank you, Richard. I'm glad you noticed. It's been a lot of work.
Yeah.
But thank you for the support. It allows us to do it. Dieter, thank you for the support. They say at this point, this feels like a Maxis Sim Tower promo. That's hilarious. Sim Tower. Oh man, that takes me back. Simcopter is my favorite of all Sim games. Anyone else play Simcopter?
I didn't play that one. No.
It's so hilariously bad in so many ways, but also so good.
Like they're getting some lights ready. Look at all those lights that just came in. Those
no kidding.
generator-supported light stands. Jeez.
They're gonna be working 24/7, even more. Let's see.
24/7 plus.
Yeah, there you go. 24/7 full thrust Block 5.
Yes, but how many engines? No.
Let's see. Ruben Forrester asking, how could payload integration look in Boca? Do they need a Starship-sized clean room, and won't used ships be dirty? Somebody answer that. I'm just completely.
I just think that's a great question. I don't know the answer to it, but I think it's a brilliant question because this is what Starbase is going to be doing. It's going to be launching cargo missions because Elon said he doesn't want to put people on Starship until it's flown lots and lots and lots of times, and that leaves the obvious payload being Starlinks. And we've seen the nose cone, the Pathfinder, being cut out of a cargo section area of it, so we can see where they're going to have that volume, which he said was, I'll find a tweet, but basically Elon actually said what the volume was, and it's literally about twice or three times on a shuttle. It's an incredible capability. But those payloads, you can't just put them in the back of a truck like a Raptor van. You've got to look after them properly, and you've got to treat them the same way as you would at the Cape. So I would expect some facility of storage where they can process the satellites. And then the question is encapsulation, because it's not a payload fairing, it's a nose cone. It's an intriguing thing where what point do they integrate the payload into the nose cone? Is it in the mid bay? Is it in the high bay? Well, it won't be in the mid bay, will it? Because it's a nose cone. But you've got to really watch this very carefully because they will need that clean room environment, and that's where you may see. I'm going to guess at this. You may see a new windbreak facility that's enclosed, where they can complete the nose cone operations with the payload and then install it on the Starship, and then take the Starship out to the launch site and then install that on the Super Heavy. If you can keep up with that. That's what I think they may do, because that then removes the problem of contamination and things like that on the payload, because it's encapsulated technically by the fact that it's inside a nose cone by then. I think that's what they'll go for, and I do think they'll need a clean room for that.
I mean, I sort of jokingly responded to something Elon said about the mosquitoes, and I was like, please don't introduce Texas mosquitoes to Mars because they'll grow bigger in the low atmosphere or the low gravity, right? I was kind of kidding, but I was also kind of not kidding with that comment, because once you start encapsulating payloads that are going to Europa or Mars or other planets, Venus, wherever you're going, you do want to pay a little bit of attention to what you're taking with you inadvertently. So I was kind of kidding about taking mosquitoes along, but I really don't want them to take mosquitoes along to like the moon base or whatever.
And just quickly, John Clear in chat makes a great point because the shuttle loaded payloads in the rotating service structure on the pad, and he thinks that he shows Starship will have the same capability. Now that's a major thing. I can't believe I didn't think of that immediately. But when the shuttle payloads were inserted, they were inserted before rollout. The shuttle would roll out to the pad as an integrated stack, get to the pad, and the rotating service structure would be open. They'd roll the payload out on its own little transporter and lift it into the rotating service structure. They would then close the rotating service structure, open the payload bay doors, and insert the payload into the orbiter from there. So that it was all done at the pad. So that's a potential way around it, to have a mobile clean room maybe, and then roll that to the launch site and then integrate it. How they'll integrate it, because there's no rotating service structure in the plans for the launch site, the pad towers, is the other question. But I like that. I like where he's going with it.
That's a really good point.
Yep.
I imagine they do it on the ground, like Starship on the ground next to the tower, and then they put the payload in down low, and then they would lift Starship and its payload up and stack it on Super
Yeah.
Heavy, as opposed to trying to put the payload into Starship while it's on top of Super Heavy. Like, that's way up in the air.
Yeah.
But
point.
that definitely seems like a cool workflow, you know?
I like that.
I always
sort of-
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, that's sort of what, on a much smaller scale, that's what Antares does with their late load, where they can actually lean the rocket over horizontal, and they have the mobile clean room that goes up, and they open the top of the fairing, and they can put late load cargo that's going up to the ISS or whatever in that sort of smaller, clean facility that's sort of attached to the top of the rocket, and then they close up the top of the rocket, seal it all off, the mobile clean room goes away, the rocket stands vertical again, and they launch it. That's how they can do that less than 24 hours late load for the time-sensitive payload, like science mice and stuff.
Yeah, that would make sense. I keep thinking about what if, and this probably won't be the case because it adds mass, but what if the Starship section, like the fuel stack and the payload stack, are two independent things, and you can just have a Starship fuel stack, and whatever nose cone you roll out and stuff on it, whether it's a tanker nose cone or a crew nose cone or a cargo nose cone or a lunar cone, whatever. Well, I guess lunar cone would be a different setup because it doesn't have flaps, but you know what I mean. Like, what if it was just like a modular setup and you can just roll out the nose cone with everything encapsulated? But I think that adds mass because then you have to have like a connector from the stack to the nose cone, and then it probably makes way more sense to do what you guys are talking about, which is integrated on the ship while the ship is down low, then lift the whole thing together onto the super heavy booster. Good question there from Ruben. And
How many of these cranes did they buy?
Several.
I think that's another one that just came in.
Yeah, they're clearly getting ready to lift a lot of something. Maybe that yellow structure. Maybe the orbital launch table will be making its way to the launch site soon. It seems like it's been ready forever.
Oh, you know what, Jack? That could be a big shout. That could be what it's for. Because they need that table. That table's been under construction and refinement for goodness knows how long now. I mean, it's been one of the longest lead items where it's not being moved or installed into something. It looks like a crazy structure, so it makes sense. But those four, I mean, there's at least four of them there, isn't there? So you could take one corner each. That could be it, you know. That's
really kind of what I was thinking. Is if there's 4 or 5 or 6, I could see them sort of all wanting to have multiple ones of the same crane all lifting from different points, and it looks like he's headed over to the orbital tank farm type area.
Yeah.
But then again, we've got these two biggies right here, one at the yellow structure and one over on the black structure. So either way, we're getting the load spreader hooked back up, looks like. So they're going to lift it up. And
I think these cranes still have tire shine on them. Like, they look like they're brand new off the truck, and the tires don't even look dirty yet, except for where they've driven out. They keep rolling these cranes out. They're definitely gearing up to do something.
I've heard a rumor that John McBiggie, the owner of Biggie Cranes, was watching our streams and realized that Boca Chica has all the cranes in the world and decided to start a crane company. And he's basically just said, "Okay, we've got some more cranes for you, Elon. We can send them to Boca Chica for you. How many do you want?" And Elon goes, "Yes."
A 5-pack. We'll sell you a 5-pack or a 10-pack. The more you buy, the more you'll enjoy it.
Oh, we've just gone to 450,000 subscribers.
Oh, no kidding?
Woo!
Hey!
450K. Look at that.
Like fireworks go off or anything, or
Pew
No,
pew 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 pew.
unfortunately.
That's my fireworks sound. But no, for real, that's a big milestone. Thank you to everybody for subscribing.
That's crazy because it's a lot of people, and if you don't run a YouTube channel yourself, you won't notice. But YouTube does siphon off the fake subscribers, the one like bots and things like that. They do have a twice monthly thing where they go in your control panel saying, you will notice your subscriber count fluctuating as we remove invalid accounts or whatever. So these are real people. These are real subscribers, and the whole idea, I know there's bigger channels and stuff, but the whole idea of 450,000 people subscribing to a very specialist subject, let's face it, it's spaceflight. It's amazing, really, and a good testament for the amount of interest out there for spaceflight, which actually, that makes my heart sing, personally, having done this for so many years now.
Yeah, it's really amazing that so many people care. It's really great. So I mean, we would be doing this, I think, shouting into an empty room just because we enjoy it. But the fact that there are so many people that are so interested makes it that much more fun. Let's see. Avon, thanks for the support. They say call it the High Ground Bay. And they still have space with Frankencrane for the Top Spire lightning rod. That's a good question. I don't think we know. Eric, thank you for the support. They say, could SpaceX lower the floor of the high bay to accommodate the full super heavy height? Then some kind of lift platform could move it outside. I mean,
it'd make a swimming pool if they did that.
Yeah. And there would be a lot of like jackhammering concrete out of there that they laboriously poured. I don't think you want to do that to the foundation of your structure. I think they're just going to build a new higher bay. Thomas and Fang, thank you for the support. They say, can anyone confirm Eric Berger's reporting on Blue Origin's Project Jarvis? I don't think we can confirm based on anything we've heard.
I can.
You can?
I can. Yeah, we had information in L2 about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, right.
Basically, yeah, it wasn't enough to report because you can't report what unless you've got it documented. I'm sure Eric has. He's definitely got his own sources before anyone gets any ideas. Me mentioning the L2 edit 3 weeks ago. It's a situation where he's calling it Project Jarvis, so they've got an actual name for it. We didn't know that. We did know that they're working on some kind of stainless steel upper stage, which was originally the confusion of some people earlier, which is why we didn't report it, because you got to confirm these things, and that's why you got to be careful. Where people were thinking they're going to change the entire vehicle to stainless steel. I mean, you don't know if they do in the future or not, but the idea is a second stage. They're going for full reusability, and they've decided the SpaceX route is the right route. So Eric Berger's reporting is correct.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Eric. Like, he's not just some guy saying random stuff. He knows, he's a good reporter, and he knows how to do his job well. So I think just him reporting it alone is sort of confirmation. But always good to have multiple sources, and that's awesome that we had that in L2. Shout out to L2. It's an awesome resource. Let's see. Samsung, thank you for the support. They say N1 second launch failure was huge and held much less propellant. How would a super heavy booster explosion compare? I mean, it would be very bad. I don't know how.
Serious business. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to quantify one versus the other. It would just be very, very, very bad. Very bad indeed. Let's see. Mad Biker, again. They say ultimate bay name, the Bezos Memorial Bay. Pretty good. Jonathan Tanner, thanks for the support. They say very ample bay. Thank you. Frank, thank you for the support. They say wide to the side.
Like, people, when are these from? Like 20 minutes ago, it looks like. People coming up with high bay names. Nice.
Yeah, some of these are pretty old. Apologies, everyone.
That's okay. We never want the stream to just be, oh no, welcome to NSF. We read super chats 24/7. That's all we do. Like that, we never want that to be the case. We always have a lot of fun.
See, Smooth Juice, thank you again. I'm not sure what you mean there about the grippers.
Apparently, Michael tweeted something. That's what I saw in chat. That is Michael Baylor tweet. I don't know. I'm going to check his thing. I don't know if he did or not.
Yeah. Perpetual Punster.
Somebody replied to your tweet with an idea about grippers or something like that. I don't know if it's like another. idea for how to catch the rocket, or like a new design for vice grips, or those things you use to take the tops off of jars. You know, I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen the tweet.
I'm not seeing anything in Michael's feed that would suggest grippers.
Yeah.
Well, Perpetual Punster, thank you for the support. They say bigger Boca Bay boasts better boarding bulky booster bodies. All right, I'll take it.
Okay.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Dougal, what's up, Dougal? Where to find good 3D print models of rockets? That's a question for Ian. Ian does that stuff. He's probably a good person to ask. So DM Ian.
There's that guy who there's that guy who did models for Tim.
Oh yeah, but I don't remember their name. Darn
What's
it.
his name? I'll
I
find
know
it. Yeah.
There's one thing where they'll build in cell models, and there's another one where you can download the 3D printing files so you can do your own. I know there's like two different sorts of things there, so I'm
Wow.
not sure.
How much are 3D printers nowadays?
Oh, they're like getting super cheap. Like one that
Are
can
they?
do a ton of detail and stuff like that, and how quickly they go, and how big the bed is, and all that sort of stuff is the defining factor, it seems, these days. But you can pick up a 3D printer for a couple $100 now.
It's
Nice.
amazing.
Yeah,
I love living in the future.
Yeah, and then spend $1,000 upgrading your $250 3D printer. But I digress. There's a reason I don't have one. It's a gateway, like a gateway thing.
I spent £50 on a printer.
That's heavy.
I thought that's a lot of money for a printer.
Yeah, right. We still got Jack. Jack, we still got you.
Yep, I'm just looking at the super chat trying to figure out. Marwin, thank you for the support. As an SD card wrangler, shouldn't a bay with high capacity there be the one with extended capacity? I think this is a joke that's even over my head.
It's an SD card joke.
It's an SD card joke, but I'm like, yeah, I can't even like haha at it. I'm just like, thank you for the support,
Well, the
Marwin.
size of the bay is the capacity, and the size of the door is like the class, like how quickly you can read write from it.
Right. Okay, so that makes sense. So you need like a. Right now
Two
they have
doors,
like a
dual channel. Anyways.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I appreciate you, Das. You picked up the slack.
I tried.
Dual channel. Taylor Van Camp, thanks for the support. No, they're gonna serve no peanut butter on Mars. It's gonna be all gruel.
Gruel?
Just gruel. Space gruel.
What are they eating? The Matrix, the algae or whatever?
Exactly. I mean,
Well, Elon did warn them it'd be rough on Mars, so he could get away with it.
I'm joking, but I'm also serious because you're not gonna have steak, right? You're not gonna have burgers. You're not gonna have any water-intensive, space-intensive, energy-intensive, animal-intensive food. It's gonna be like some fudge, some fungus you can grow and eat. Also fudge.
Mars
on
burgers
Mars.
are fungus, yeah.
Fun
Mars
fact.
burgers.
Fun fact. Fudge is extremely energy dense, so it's really good for spaceflight. Yeah.
That's an advertisement for Mars in itself. Get free fudge.
Fudge. Hey, the lifts are going down, by the way, y'all. Everybody has reboarded their lift, and it looks like they've completely attached the load spreader here.
Yeah, load spreader's going up right now. They're
there he goes, tensioning it up.
All right,
Excellent.
Come on, this time.
So here's the deal, y'all. This is what we are looking for specifically. Let's go over here, and I got a little bit of zoom there apparently, but we're going to be watching right in this area. I've got it coming through with the circling, but you see that, and you see how it's sort of brown and rusty on the bottom and then gray and galvanized on the top. That's where we're looking for the gap. And we know that they're lifting up when we can see a little daylight in between those. I don't know if that red circle is big enough, so I'll draw more arrows so everybody can see it down there. But that is where we're going to be looking for them to actually start it.
I can't really see where you're talking about, Toss.
Oh,
Can you draw
really?
me
It's
can
sort
you
of
do
right
a couple more arrows?
Here is what we're looking at, and then, like, look at all the majesty, man. It's like, yeah, how's that? Anyways, that's sort of the area that we're looking for that. Back to the live view. Apparently it's zoomed in a little bit. I'll have to look at that.
That majesty, though.
Yeah, look at all the majesty.
And that reminds me, Daz, that's one thing you got to teach me as well, is how to draw on screen with Daz Art.
I had you installing some software earlier to make that happen.
Oh,
so.
is that a related thing? Brilliant.
Yep, related thing. So, always, I'm tricking you into making progress. So this might be we'll see if we get that little gap in there and see if they actually go for a lift this time. Same thing we saw last time. They hook it up, they test it out, they see if they're comfortable with it or not. No, make some changes, bring it over to the side, make a change to it, bring it back up, lift it up again, reattach the holding, lift it up. We saw this exact same process last time. So not an indication that anything's wrong or anything like that. It's just slow and steady wins the race when it comes to crane operations. It's like, what is it? Measure twice, cut once. It's like, measure 15 times and lift once. They don't want to get halfway up and discover a problem. They want to discover it while they're still on the ground here. So.
Well, you, sir, clearly don't know how to play Kerbal Space Program correctly.
Yes. That is measure 0 times, crash twice.
Yeah,
I think,
yes.
right?
Or crash as many, never measure, crash always, right?
Never measure, constantly crash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crash infinity.
Yeah.
Yes. Welcome back, Chris. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Yeah, so I see it's attached again.
Oh, yes. Once
I
again.
mean, this actually looks, yeah. Okay, maybe they will lift it for real this time.
We're gonna look for that daylight underneath the leg there. This is not really a leg pillar. I guess it's a pillar more than a leg, and see if they feel good about it. But it continues to look like they're going.
Now, Das, come on, we know the correct terminology. It is Tower Connection Rod A.
Jeez.
Into slot B.
Yes.
Is this the port or the starboard side of the tower? I don't really know. Port has 4 letters in it, but that doesn't help us define relative to the side of the tower.
Right.
Port is left-hand side, right?
Yeah, port has 4
port is
letters,
left.
and yeah, port left, both 4 letters. That's how I remember.
That's exactly how I remember it too. Yeah.
There's no port wine left in the bottle. That's how I remember because I'm an old man. Apparently.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
There you go. Love it.
We'd be in real trouble if we were drinking during these streams.
Right?
What are you talking about? I am.
Oh, what?
No, I'm not really.
Tell anybody.
I'm not really.
That's why we're not on camera, y'all. So you wonder where we come up with all these ideas. Anyways, let's see if we get to the lift going. It looks like it's been tensioned again. And just watching for daylight. Should we grab some more questions while we're waiting and then just jump in when we see it go? Or
really quickly,
Sure.
we got a couple more super chats to take care of.
Cool.
Justin, thank you for the support there. They said, idea, it would be cool if you had a type of watermark indication on the screen which identifies which camera is being viewed. Keep up the amazing videos. It is amazing seeing NASA spaceflight's growth. Thank you, buddy. Not a bad idea.
We've thought about it. We've really thought about that, but the way we crop the camera sometimes makes it a little bit tricky to keep watermarks in a location.
It's so
that fits.
variable, right?
Yeah, it varies. So to keep the cameras more flexible, we don't do anything like that. It's certainly possible, but we just use them as raw feeds so that we can crop and resize and change them around to fit the screen. You know, like if I were to go, let's see, like that. All of a sudden, my watermarks would be cropped out, and you'd be like, "Oh, we have to move it," you know. So we've definitely thought about that before. It's almost just like the more you watch the show, and especially if you hang out around the 24/7 stream, you'll be saying like Big Box, and 3-Pip, and Mars Cam, and Danger Cam. Like you just learn after a little bit of exposure to it. It's just like through osmosis. You can't not learn the names of the cameras just based on what they look like. Good. It is a good idea though. I completely picking up what you're putting down.
Let's see. Eric, thank you for the 450 for 450,000 subs. We really appreciate that. And we appreciate all of our subscribers. I mean, 450,000 subs, Chris G. I think that happened while you
we
were...
made it?
Yeah, we made it.
Oh, sweet. Sweet. Thank you, everyone. Yes, thank you. That's awesome.
Celebrate subs. Good times. Hamster Space Nerd, take my money. Thank you, and we will. And we'll keep providing our coverage. Chaz, thank you for the support. They say, don't forget to like the video. So how do you think the tower is going to practice sticking the landing? It's going to stand there and either get hit or not.
I am really, I mean...
Yeah?
So many raptors at stake is the trick. Like, you're going to target a soft water landing to see how close you get to the pin and that sort of stuff. Like there's so many raptors at stake. But do you risk the raptors and the OLP and the tower and the GSE, or do you just risk the raptors? I'm really curious to see exactly how hard Elon rolls the dice on that.
I say they're just gonna throw some Raptors in the drink. They're building Raptors at an increasingly large rate. They build Starship parts and then scrap them. Sometimes you got to build a lot of engines and scrap them by throwing them into space and then the ocean.
Man,
Yeah.
it's almost a third of all the Raptors they've ever produced, though.
Yeah, but
on
that's
one
just
booster.
that's just because it's such early days. Eventually, they'll have thousands of Raptors produced, and it'll be a small fraction. You gotta think big. Let's see. Thank you there, Chaz, for the support. Rod, thank you for the support. They say, I drove from Toronto to Kennedy Space Center in 1971 to watch Apollo 17. 50 years later, I still can't get enough space stuff. Great job to all of you, both knowledgeable and somewhat entertaining. All right, we'll have to work on the amount of entertaining
No,
that
I
we
think
are,
that's aimed at
guys.
me.
Somewhat.
Best stream out there, Rod. Well, thank you, Rod. We appreciate
That's
that so
awesome.
much.
Imagine actually witnessing Apollo launches. My goodness.
Yeah, imagine seeing
yeah.
a Saturn V push something into orbit. I would probably cry. Well, no, I know I would cry. I would cry like a little baby. Yeah. Time machine, that would be one of my first stops for sure. Also STS-1.
Yeah.
Also like Cuban Missile Crisis, because I'm an insane person. Daniel Leapster, thank you for the $5 there. They say, thanks for the streams. Unlike Falcon and Starship, does Super Heavy have thrust, throttle, weight, so it could hover briefly to facilitate tower capture? What do we think? Can Super Heavy hover briefly for tower capturing, or do you think it's going to be more of a hover slam maneuver?
I think it's going to be able to hover. I think that's the way this works. Because otherwise, like I'm sort of with everyone else in the how does this not destroy the tower as it comes in like a Falcon 9? And I think that's the problem is we're all thinking about it in terms of what the Falcon 9 does. I don't think it's going to be able to. I think it's going to hover because we've seen them hover in midair. If you think back to SN5 and SN6, I think were the ones that flew.
Yep.
And we saw them hover in midair. So I think that's the key to the tower catch is an almost perfect hover of the vehicle.
There's a gap, by the way.
And yes, gap. Yes,
Yeah, they've lifted
I went
it
as quick
again.
as I could, Dust.
Yeah, I'm like, gap. There's a gap. Gap.
Speaking of hovering, that tower section is beginning to hover. Ha ha ha! Look at that segue.
Good segue.
It's especially a good segue when you point out that it was a segue. That's the icing on the segue cake. Cool. So they're gonna lift it up again. Hopefully everything is happy and it lifts how they want, and they do not have to put it back down and adjust things again. We'll have to wait a moment and see. So far, so good. Let's see. Will ring lines on starships and boosters be gone for the final versions? Eric L. wants to know. I think they've already gotten a lot more subtle. I think it's probably a good bet to assume that they will continue to get more subtle. I don't know if they can be completely eliminated, but yeah, that would be my answer.
Yeah, that's what I'd say too.
Cool. Thank you for the support, Eric. Alan, thanks for the support. Say fantastic job as usual from y'all. What's the job of this section, guys? Cheers. Thanks, Alan. It looks like this section has some pulleys and whatnot installed for some kind of crane system for stacking or for arms, or it's got pulleys. It's the top, it's got pulleys, it's where the pulleys go. Anybody else want to add anything to that? Cool.
Nope.
Yeah, cool. That's all. Yeah.
Let's see. Lensman says, SpaceX, the greatest show off Earth. Thanks for the support, bud.
Woohoo.
Dylan says, a few months from now, are we getting a few tower rebuild stream? I guess you're asking if they take it down and then you have to rebuild it. Rest assured, if they take it down, there's going to be tower takedown streams and then tower rebuild streams before that. Yeah.
Well, ironically, remember, they're going to build 2 of these, aren't they? So
That's going to be
we're
so
going to
wild.
watch this process all over again, but this time we'll know what to expect. So it'll be an identical tower. But I think that's pending the environmental review, because the plans for the second tower is part of the expansion of the orbital launch site and the suborbital launch site as well, with 2 landing pads. So let's consider this. We're going to be 2 launch towers, You're gonna have the ocean platforms as well. It could be crazy. I mean, the amount of launches they may be able to do at some point in like what 1 or 2 years time, it's gonna be intriguing.
Indeed.
Yeah, for sure.
Pampalak, thank you for the support. They said the tower looks so skinny, even with 8 sections. Hope it can handle a falling booster. Hashtag auto strut. Good Kerbal joke there.
Auto strut.
And Jason, thank you for the $20. Super generous of you. They said, do you think there could possibly be a variant for Starship to have a small crew cabin on board a cargo Starship for certain payloads that require a little more finesse to deploy, sort of like the shuttle or capture? Hey, abort once around anybody? Reference mission 1A or whatever it was.
Oh my gosh, reference mission 3A and 3B. Yes.
3A
Oh my
and
gosh.
3B. Thank you.
Yeah, those were incredible. To have a small crew cabin on board a cargo starship for certain payloads that require a little more finesse to deploy. So
I say yes.
Oh, basically, yeah. Like, is there a variant of Starship that is both cargo and crew? Yes, there is. It's the lunar variant right now. So if you just take the basic design of the lunar variant and, put fins on it, so it's and aero surfaces and a heat shield, so it can re-enter, you have the basic design of a crew and cargo Starship
It would
variant.
sort of be like a cross between a cargo Starship, a lunar Starship, because you probably want a Chomper type door on there or whatever big payload bay doors that probably wouldn't be on the lunar version, although maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see an updated render. And
Yeah.
a cross between the crewed Starship. It'd be like a weird mutant Starship, but I could see that happening for sure. And Gautam, thank you for the support. They say, will you live stream the offshore oil platform construction progress? Will these platforms be moved to deep sea location after construction? Anybody want to take either of these questions while I
We've
grab a drink
looked
of
at it.
water?
Yeah, I got it, Jack. We've looked at it, of course. We know over at Pascagoula and right here at the Port of Brownsville, they're working on those 2 offshore platforms. We've looked at it, and those are not ports like Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral is like a tourist port. It's got a lot of cruise ships that come and go. There's restaurants around, and unlike Port Canaveral, Pascagoula and Brownsville are both very industrial ports, like shipbreakers and construction and security that goes along with that sort of stuff. So certainly it's not a technical limitation. I could get a camera deployed there. It's just when you have a non-public port like that, it's a whole lot more touchy to deploy 24/7 cameras. So it is something we've looked at. It's sort of like a one and done thing, so they're going to change these things and then push them out, and we haven't seen them buy any more rigs, and it's not like there's a shipyard where they're going to be building rigs once a month or anything like that. So for now, we're not expecting to deploy cameras like that. We've certainly looked at it. It's not a tech limitation. I have to say it's not a tech limitation because it's not a tech limitation. We could put a camera there. It's just a permission and security thing is the reason that we're not really going after that. Plus, not a lot happens on a daily basis. Like periodic photo updates, I think, is maybe a more efficient way to keep track of those. It's not like Boca Chica, Starbase, where there's 18,000 cranes running around doing things every single day. So, how's that sound? I
Like
think it
it.
sounds good. Yeah. All right. I will run out these last 2 super chats real quick. So David Plant says, likelihood of testing booster with landing legs until comfortable to go for the catch. Have we seen anything about landing legs? I don't think we have.
I do not believe we have. No.
Yeah, not at all. So I haven't seen any infrastructure or anything about that. I wonder. I'm very curious what SpaceX is going to do to test it. I can't imagine they throw it at the tower and the GSE farm that they spent months building on the first try. I don't know. Crazier things have happened, I guess, huh?
I mean, crazier things have happened, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I see. I think part of the reason that the booster is not coming, or like the original plan that we know. Again, things change. Maybe this will change. But I think part of the reason that the plan is to ditch the first booster into the Gulf of Mexico, but fly the flyback profile, is so they can study and really, really, truly make sure when all those Raptors are functioning together and a booster is coming down, can they throttle them down to the point where you can get close to a hover? So yeah, like I'm kind of with you, Das. Like I don't think they'd purposefully risk the tower. So just like, they used to test the Falcon 9s by landing them in air quotes in the ocean
Right.
before they put a drone ship under them. I think you're exactly right. I don't think they'd go for the I think go for the tower is the correct way
Yeah,
to
go for
phrase
the
that.
tower. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they'd
I
go for the
mean,
tower on flight 1.
the orbital launch table has been under construction for 82 years. And do you really want another 82 years before they can build another one?
Yeah.
Seriously. And then Dylan Fonseca actually, thank you, says robot. Yes.
Yeah.
There are ideas for how you could put a camera on a boat. I've done a live camera from a boat before, a crewed boat, but yeah, there's all sorts of ideas. It's just whittling it down to what's not completely insane.
Didn't you do a Falcon Heavy launch from a boat?
No, I did the in-flight abort.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah, I just remember
Yep.
you on a boat.
I went out with
just about to
Starflight.
say, thanks for not saying in-flight abort and making me cringe, but no,
Yeah.
you went and said it.
I was just trying to get your attention, Jack. Welcome back. Just make sure you're here.
That stupid launch. That stupid launch. I'm glad you saw it.
That's why we put cameras at various angles. So if one camera doesn't have the angle, we just switch to the other camera, Jack. That's as designed.
I know, but I wasn't the angle where you could see it.
Oh no.
So we were at the bitter location for that one.
Yeah.
There was a huge, on the day of the in-flight abort, there was everybody at the press site, right? Oh, everybody's over at the press site. KSC, huge event, going to intentionally separate this rocket. It's going to blow up. It's going to be crazy, right?
We're going to see an explosion for free, and it's fun, and it's amazing, and we get to, it's like on this day, at this time, there's going to be a big honking rocket explosion, and you're going to get to watch.
Yeah.
Except not
clouds.
Then it happened, and there was a cloud. And so I didn't go to the press site. I actually went out on a boat about a mile off the exclusion zone and took all my live stream gear and was hanging on for dear life in 7-foot waves. And because I went out on the boat, I did not have a cloud in the way. I had a perfectly clear shot of the in-flight abort live on a camera.
Yeah.
And, if that was these days, we would have rolled that into a NASA Spaceflight broadcast just like anything else. We had it coming in, but we did not trust that my signal was going to hold up. We had never tried the boat before. And nowadays, Jack, people at the Cape, if you ever want to go out on a boat, we can get you set up. I can train you up on the gimbals and everything that are required. I'm just saying.
Oh,
Real boat, though, Das, is the pirate ship. You got to go to the pirate ship on Boca because we've practically promised that to happen.
Yeah. All that stuff is possible. I mean, sign me up. Not a technical limitation, once again. I like saying that. So it definitely looks like they're just, I don't see the gap as much anymore.
It's there.
Oh,
yeah, it's there.
I still see it, yeah.
But it's gone down a bit, it seems.
They're not putting it down. It seems like they're just hanging out.
Yeah, you're right. They are hanging out for much longer than before, so...
Which is
also,
a good one, at least.
Look at this crane retract over here on the right. It's like, all right, job done, moving on.
Telehandler, I think. That's
telehandler, thank you, telehandler.
Yeah. What is it doing?
Yeah, I was just thinking, if these things were like people, it would be going, my job's important too.
What's going to get right in the way?
I lift things.
When I grow up, I want to be
down. They're putting it back down.
No. I should just never talk again.
Bad news, Michael.
Now, see, you would think that at some point we would learn our lesson with these lifts. It's fun to, it's fun to hang out. Definitely not complaining, but they did the same thing last time where they sort of tricked us into thinking they were going. Oh, there's a little gap. Oh, okay, back down again. Oh, okay, another little gap. Back down again.
All I'm thinking of is 90 degrees according to the caption on the top right corner. Mary's out there again all day.
Yeah, exactly.
I would not be able to survive these temperatures for that amount of time, and the bugs and the wind and the dust and the sand. I don't know how she does it.
So much dust. It really, the dust is something that I think is up there along with the sun. I mean, it gets in your gear, it gets in your lens. It's just, the dust. It's never ending.
The lifts have not gone back up. That's a good sign. I'm probably going to jinx it, and it's going to happen in 30 seconds, but until the lifts go up, it's not over yet.
As long as you jinx it this time instead of me.
They still have it under tension as well. They haven't released that tension either. So is it an alignment problem where somebody has to haul on it a little bit to get it aligned with the transport/assembly stand, whatever we want to call it, or is it a? It's. I mean, I want to believe. This truck apparently wants to park in the way, but I want to believe.
Oh, no, you don't. Get out of the way. Keep moving.
Jeez.
Oh man, like, thank you. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Whoa, sir, move along. Move
Right.
along.
Move
know,
along.
Mary-
There is something to see here. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You know, Mary would walk up to him and be like, "Hey, could you go forward some?" So, I do believe, Chris. I know you had, or Chris B. Actually, you've got limited time here this evening, so I think you're gonna have to be bidding us adieu, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go, but hopefully that'll be my the cue for them to say, "Okay, Chris Bergen's gone. We can lift it."
We can lift it now. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, the voice you hear there, that's Chris Bergen, the managing editor, the founder of NASA Spaceflight. Chris, thanks so much for hanging out with us here. It's always, these are fun. Like, we're just hanging out and having fun talking about stuff. I really
it's
enjoy
not a chore.
it.
It's a lot of fun. No, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Good deal. Take it easy, Chris. We'll see you next time. Folks, follow Chris over on Twitter. He runs the NASA Spaceflight actual account, at NASA Spaceflight on Twitter. If you want notifications of live streams or basically anything that's going on, Mary gets a photo of a Raptor coming in, live streams going live for a launch or Starbase or whatever, new information, news articles. He is a prime follow over there on Twitter. At NASA Spaceflight is the handle. So, anywho, I still don't see the lifts.
no, which is good. Which is good.
Yeah. I see a hand above our sign waving somebody back or something.
I know that was kind of funny. Like
the thing all of a sudden like sticking up there. Oh, what's this? There's a truck backing up now.
Oh.
Is the truck gonna hitch to something? Okay, good job. Keep going. Thank you. It's just right there, isn't it?
Oh man, I mean, the joys of covering an active construction site.
Yeah.
You know.
There he goes.
I mean, at least it has never been like that bus when they were demolishing the stadium in Atlanta. That parked right. You remember? Yep.
Yeah, I know the video you're talking about. Like right when the thing was happening, the bus like pulls up and blocks the shot that they had been staking out for who knows how long.
Yeah, everyone was like counting down 10, 9, and they get to 3, and this giant tour bus just blocks their view completely. The building implodes. They finally get his attention, and the driver moves off, and the building is down. And it's just.
Oh no!
One of those moments in life where if you saw it in a movie or a TV show, you'd go, "Well, that's totally not believable." You know,
there's no way. Yeah, there's no way that would never happen in real life. That's so staged. I saw.
Yeah, I forget. Can you hear the guy on camera being like, "Oh, come on," or something like that?
I think so. Yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen that, but yeah, that poor guy. It's one of those things where it's like, haha, because it wasn't you. But if it was you, it would just be like, that was, I'd be so mad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've had that happen in more than one rocket launch because I used to not go to the press site, right?
Yep.
Where people know what they're doing when it comes to, oh, yeah, there's a line of cameras here. Don't walk in front of other people's cameras. Yeah, people sort of are paying attention to that because I used to go to the public spots like 401 in Playa Linda, and on more than one occasion, I'm set up, and it's like counting down, and somebody just like walks into frame, and I'm like, hey, and I'm like pointing at the camera and waving at them, and they usually get the picture. I've never had anybody who refuses to move, so I have definitely had people walk into frame right before launch, though.
Yep, it happens.
Yep.
Let's see. Here's a TPS question. What is the white fabric material for under Starship tile sections?
Oh, this is where I wish Jean was here to answer that. Oh, what is the name of the fabric?
She told us, but I can't remember the...
On the
acronym.
shuttle, it
I
was a strain isolation pad or something like that, right?
yeah, I don't remember what they're using for Starship, but I think she knew it. Let me text her and see if she's at her phone.
There you go.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, so hold on to that question. We'll come back to it. Yeah.
Holding. Good question from
Yeah.
Alex there. I saw that one in
Yeah.
the queue and I was like, oh, I definitely want to answer that. Let's see. Ashley asking, what is the next upcoming test at Starbase? Elon tweeted that there might be a 9-engine static fire of Booster 3, but they did pull all the engines off Booster 3. We haven't seen them installing engines, so there might be another booster static fire. There might not. I don't know if you want to count it as a test, but parts of the orbital launch site rolling out, like the launch table or
Mm-hmm.
Booster 4 or Ship 20 rolling out, I think are some of the next things we're watching for. Ship 20 is not done yet. Booster 4 is not done yet, but they're getting close. So that's
Yeah.
probably pretty soon. And then they'll do testing on both of those. They'll test Ship 20 in various ways. Maybe they'll do a proof test. Maybe they'll do a test with the thrust ram on Pad B. And Booster 4, maybe they'll static fire Booster 4 with 3 engines or a cluster of engines or what have you. So I think the next stuff probably to look for is Ship 4 and Booster. Sorry, Ship 20 and Booster 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
I want to know what's going on here. I mean, they put it back down. The lifts did not go back up. That red crane in the background is moving right now. You can see that boom and that red, red crane structure moving. But I wonder what they're doing. Like, are they happy with this? Do they have to clear some equipment out before they can go for the actual lift? Like maybe the path where they're going to swing it has something underneath it, and they have to clear that out. I actually I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, good question. Let's see. John Zinzi, thanks for the new membership. Marcus, I'm going to guess. Rowboat with Starlink, I believe in you. How much super chats do you guys need for it? Didn't we talk about that at some point? A robot boat.
Oh,
I
jeez.
assume that's what people are. Is that a thing we joked about and I forgot? Oh man. Let's see. Tire Straight, thank you for the support. So, do we know why Elon doesn't want to go to the moon instead of Mars? Wouldn't it be much easier to build a colony there in case of an extinction event?
Ooh.
I mean, anything affecting the Earth that's like a asteroid hitting it would affect the moon too, right? And Mars has more of an
Yeah.
Earth-like day, so I think that's part of it too, where Mars is sort of has a more similar to Earth amount of gravity and a more similar to Earth amount like night-day cycle, right?
Yeah, and it's the day and the gravity that's the big part there. In terms of Mars, I mean, yeah, it's exactly what you just said there, Jack. Like an extinction level, like asteroid impact event to Earth would throw material out from the Earth. I mean, some of it would outright be ejected from orbit, from Earth's sphere of influence, if the impact, depending on the angle and the trajectories of the two bodies at impact, but it would throw material outward toward the lunar orbit. So and not to mention, like, I mean, that would be that would be kind of big in that effect, and the moon would be affected in that regard, and the biggest benefit in that sort of stands to Mars is it kind of gives a planet B, if you will, a way that if something were to ever happen to Earth, with an impact event that we didn't see coming in enough time to deflect, Mars would be the better option for the survival of humanity, in that regard. Yeah, and I mean, you only really need to look back a few years. I'm blanking on the exact year, but I think it was 3 years ago. There was a comet that was discovered, Pan-STARRS. I think it was one of the Pan-STARRS comets, that was discovered, and the initial trajectory calculations kind of made a scientist's eyes go wide because it indicated a potential collision with Mars. And it didn't. It ended up missing Mars, but not by much. And we even like had to alter the orbits of some of the spacecraft in orbit of Mars to make sure that they were behind the planet when it very quickly passed through the debris trail of the comet after it had passed by. So, every once in a while the solar system throws a few like, hey, if you're paying attention, reminders at you that maybe having two planets is not a bad thing.
Nope, not at all a bad thing. Always gotta have a backup. I'm staring at a NAS right now. That's 2-drive redundant because you don't want to ever have a single point of failure, as in a single planet.
Yep.
Anyways. Cool. Let's see. It's still hooked up. It's not in the air. That red crane is out of the way. There's some more. Looks like there's some more equipment moving around.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions you want to throw my way, Jack? I know you've been talking a lot. I'm happy to take answering some of the questions here.
Yeah, go for it. Answer some questions. I'm just looking at a couple different things here, making sure I haven't missed any messages.
Gotcha. Let me make sure that's all up. I think this one is everyone's sort of favorite ones as we wait here for the ninth section of the orbital tower to be lifted here. But Tyler is asking, what's our potential launch window for Starship with booster? And Tyler, you correctly added the caveat in your opinions, which I appreciate. Because yeah, so we know there's sort of this, push because we all sort of heard the news about, the influx of people based on Elon's desire down there to get a starship stacked very, very quickly. But just because it can get stacked doesn't necessarily mean that it's ready to launch just yet. So while they might definitely want a starship stacked as quickly as possible, I think there's a lot of work that still remains at the orbital launch site that's kind of precluding a liftoff here. One big one there, and one big one just to me is the ground support equipment. And we've seen them have some issues with it. We've seen them not have as many tanks, as many tanks as they need there just yet. So I honestly don't know. I would sort of say right now I'm thinking September, October timeframe would probably be a realistic no earlier than for this if they can get some of the issues solved. And of course, that too is predicated on the assumption that the Environmental Protection Agency does not make them dismantle the tower, which apparently might not exactly be in compliance with the in-force environmental impact assessment for the Starbase site. So, but that would be my answer to that. Jack, I don't know if you were there. Would you have a different thought on that in terms of timing?
Um,
I,
End of the year, maybe.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I don't think it's impossible, but we'll have to see how testing goes with Ship 20 and Booster 4.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hesitate to give any specific time frame at all because it could be super soon. I don't know.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. And Tomcat here with a super chat question saying, do we know if they're going to fill the tower columns with concrete? Love you guys. Yeah, we had talked about this on some other streams, but I think we were told by a lot of people in chat that um, there were things inside of the steel of the tower columns that usually are only in there if you're going to fill them with concrete. So I think based on that, based on what we've seen, the answer would be leaning toward yes. I don't believe we've seen them do that yet.
I think if they're gonna do that, they would do it section by section, wait for it to cure, and then stack the next one instead of doing one single massive pour in each leg. I don't know. I didn't actually think they were gonna do that, but
I didn't
I don't
either.
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't either for a variety of reasons, but I know people in our chat from a previous stream multiple people did point out that they had seen things in there that would only typically be there if they were going to do concrete. So I don't know, honestly, but yeah, I'm with you on that one, Jack. Like it would make sense if they would have done it segment by segment,
Yeah, I mean,
because that's a
I'm
pretty big. I mean, well, we already have pretty big cranes, but that's a big cement crane, that truck that would need to be delivered here.
yeah, I'm not sure how much of a how much height you can get out of a cement pump truck like that. And then
Yeah.
you'd probably want, you know, the the tube that the concrete is coming out of to be near the surface of the level of concrete. So you would want to be it would need to be a really long straw down the entire column to get to the. I don't know. Does that make any sense? Because you don't want to just like spray it in the column willy nilly. You might get air gaps. You might create a void, or like a clog or something. I don't know. I just don't think they're gonna fill the legs. I think the tower is plenty heavy by itself, but what do I know? I thought there was only going to be 8 sections, and now we're at 9.
Yeah, true. True indeed. Yes, all good. So, and Dylan here with a question as well. Is there any plumbing going up the tower, or does the fuel load from the bottom of the booster? This is a fantastic question, Dylan. It loads from the bottom of the booster. Um, so, one of the things about Starship's design, especially and Starship meaning the ship. So one of the things about ships design is the on-orbit refueling aspect, which means two ships have to dock together, sort of engine section to engine section, and then the fuel is transferred from one into the other. So by design, they have to have built-in fuel transfer systems. So there's no need for big swing arms to head on over to the ship part of the Starship stack to fuel it for liftoff. It all will just come up the booster and then up into the ship itself into its tank. So it's really one of those things where, like, when Elon has talked about unengineering part of the design, right? Making things as simple as possible. If you already have to have this fuel transfer system that works in orbit and has to seal in orbit, well, you make it so that it also works on the ground, and now you don't have to complicate your launch tower with excess fueling apparatuses and swing arms that have to move away X number of minutes before liftoff, and some of those swing arms wouldn't even detach until the moment of liftoff, and then really have to swing away from the vehicle very quickly, especially with a thrust to weight ratio of 1.5. That thing's gonna move at a fairly good clip for being as big as it is, with a thrust to weight ratio of that. So
Do we have we
it's a
seen?
really good question. Yeah.
I think. Do we see ship 20 with quick disconnects on the side of it? I think maybe
Did
they.
we?
Yeah, I think maybe they're gonna. They might actually have a fueling arm. I think that might be.
Oh, maybe there's a fueling arm then. I mean, none of the renders we had gotten from SpaceX before showed one. But that also might be just because Ship 20 doesn't have all of the refuel, like it doesn't have the on-orbit fueling systems yet, if that makes sense.
Sort of like a minimum viable starship.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But at least from the renders we'd gotten from SpaceX, in terms of what the finalized design would be, there are no swing arms aside from the crew access arm that we've seen.
Yeah,
So
maybe. I mean, maybe something changed. Maybe I've been wondering what this big yellow structure here on the right is, or what the black structure that's
is
kind of
that
similar,
it?
like
Yeah.
tube structures. Like, what if that's just like a big fueling arm? You know what I mean? Like that. It could very well be. Although
Who
I don't
knows?
think we've
Yeah.
seen any plumbing going up the tower yet. But maybe they'll start
No.
installing it here in like 2 days, or who knows. But yeah, I do wonder, based on some of the renders we've seen, what it'll end up looking like, the tower, and if there will be a fueling, how that's all going to be. But certainly, it's going to be able to be fueled from the base because, like you said, that's how the
Yeah.
on-orbit fueling is going to work. Starships aren't going to have like a refueling arm in orbit, but maybe the tower has a fueling arm and they load from the side because maybe it's just faster.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's just a matter of like getting subcooled propellant in faster. You can do it with two. Yeah, and someone just messaged me and said ship 20 has a quick disconnect on the leeward side. So there you go.
So there we go. Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, perhaps the design has changed. Although, with what Elon has said, this is always one of those tricky things, right? Because you start to answer the questions based on based on thinking operational mode, but we're still very much in testing, in testing mode. So yeah, it will be interesting to see if it would just be something until the design continues to mature and they're ready to start that, on orbit refueling demonstration and see if that changes and streamlines the process.
Indeed.
Yeah, sorry, go. Yeah.
I'm just looking for another question here. Did you get an answer on what that white fabric was under the TPS?
Did not yet, no.
No worries. Still a good question from Alex there. Show it on the screen. Put it back in the queue. Dimitri's wondering how Starship will be powered. Solar panels? I mean, we've seen a render going back to again. It's just a render, but we've seen that the render of Lunar Starship with solar panels, and we've seen old. What was it like? Oh my God, Mars Colonial Transporter (MCT) or whatever. Like back in those days.
Oh my gosh, but in
that thing had
multiple
those
iterations.
crazy, like fan-looking solar panels. I don't think we've seen anything really recently, other than on Lunar Starship. But
It will be solar panels. I have it on fairly good authority that basically just look at what the lunar variant is when NASA announced that Starship won the award, and that's exactly where they're going to be on the other variants of Starship as well.
makes sense. I wonder if it'll be like tiles, like almost like a Tesla solar roof, but for
Oh, that'd be cool.
for TPS purposes. That'd be crazy.
So sunset is at 8:18 p.m. Central Time, which means we're just over 3 hours away, and we know the lift itself typically takes a couple of hours.
Yeah, so the lift takes a couple of hours, and we're about 3 hours away from sunset right now at Boca Chica local time, based on those times that Michael just gave us. So yeah, interesting to see what they're going to do because we have never seen them lift during night. So it will be interesting to see what happens here. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What do we want to do? I know Mary's been out there for hours now, giving us this feed.
Yeah. Not sure on that just yet.
I think it's Mary's call. Let's
Yeah,
ping Mary
definitely
and see
Mary's
how she's feeling, because I don't want her to have to stand out there if they did their testing and got happy with it, and they're going to do it first thing in the morning or something like that,
Exactly. Yeah. But while we're waiting for that, here's an interesting question from Toast of the Toasted. How plausible is a 2023 crewed Starship mission for Dear Moon? Does the timeline seem reasonable, or is this Elon time? Dear Moon,
That would be
yeah.
highly ambitious, but I could see it happening if they want to do it more of a test flight kind of deal. But that's extremely ambitious.
I'm with you on that one. I think that's in highly, highly ambitious. And here's another interesting little twist to this, and it's not necessarily that one can't come before the other. It's just optics of certain things, right? And like how things play is I'm with you that 2023 I think is very ambitious for a crewed Starship flight for Dear Moon. I also think that 2024 is a bit ambitious for getting humans back to the lunar surface as part of NASA's Artemis program, especially since basically no work has progressed since Blue Origin threw a tantrum over it. And so I don't know which one comes first, but there is a weird optic here of SpaceX is going to be the one that allows NASA to get humans back to the moon, right? And not just NASA, but the international partners, all the international partners that are involved in the Artemis project and program. So do you want to fly Dear Moon first, or do you want to be a part of like the return to the lunar surface? And I'm not saying that you can't do them. I'm not saying Dear Moon can't come first. I'm just saying like there's a weird PR element to that. Now that we know from the round of contracts awards that unless the GAO Government Accountability Office really surprises us here by the deadline to rule on that protest by Blue Origin on the Human Landing System contract award, it's gonna be Starship that is the one that returns us to the lunar surface. So there's an optics there, and I'm not sure how that plays into the how the technical timeline for readiness plays into the PR timeline for readiness here and what NASA has planned. If that, and I know that's complicated. I hope that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. It's sort of the same way where NASA, regarding Dragon with SpaceX, was like, hey, you guys can use Dragon as a commercial vehicle and fly commercial missions with Dragon. We have no problem with that. But your first obligation is to get us our International Space Station crewed flights. And once you've done that, go ahead, go do your commercial stuff all you want. But first and foremost, we paid you this contract so that you give us crewed flights. So give us crewed flights, please.
Yeah. Indeed.
Well, Mary's been giving us a bit of information about the work site. Apparently, most of the workers who have been working on this crane are leaving. So it looks like the crews that were actually out there hooking things up may be getting in their trucks and going home for the day. And that means that what they may have done, what we may have witnessed here is they got everything ready, they got it balanced out, they did a couple test lifts to make sure they were good, and I don't feel like they ran out of time in terms of, oh, it's not ready yet and we can't get it ready. I feel like maybe they're happy with it, but they ran out of time to do the entire lift, right? And so they've sort of just left it in the stable configuration, and potentially the lift will occur tomorrow. But I think based on the strength of Mary's information that the crew seem to be leaving. Like, I don't think they're just going to dinner and they're going to come back and lift it in the dark. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. But from our perspective, it may be best to leave this one to the robots for now. And if it starts to go up, Mary can always roll back out there again. But in terms of just sitting there in the sun and the dust, you see every time a car drives by, the dust that gets kicked up. It may be best to, I'm talking very slowly here, to go ahead and shut down the commentary for now. What do we think about that? I mean, I don't want Mary to have to stand there for another 3 hours until sunset just to realize that
it's Yeah, and let's be clear, it's 32°C, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's Mary's telling us the lifting crews left. I say let's end commentary for now. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, that's one of the reasons we've got the robots. I know the robots aren't everywhere. They don't, oh, geez, this perfect thing to sit here for 8 hours and watch this exact perfect angle. But that's why we've got the robots out there, so we don't have to have Mary standing on the side of the road 24/7 trying to bring shots. We do try to curate this, and so when something big is going on, that's when we roll out the important cameras. Mary's got the nice camera, but in terms of just sitting here for hours and hours and hours when it looks like there are some very clear indications that crews are packing up, and this lift is most likely not happening today, happening tomorrow. The entire point of the 24/7 stream and having all the robots is that we can keep an eye on these things, and we share the eye with you now. We had the robots watching 24/7 for a long time before we actually showed you that we had it 24/7. But that's the entire point here, and I think the best thing to do is to have Mary pack it up, continue to watch what's going on, so if it starts to go, we'll certainly know it, and we can bring back the cool camera angles, but for now, probably best to shut down the commentary and let Mary pack it up and go home. Jack, do we want to clear out the super chat queue real quick? I don't think we have too terribly many of them.
Ryan Bray, thank you for the support there. Did not see the crane drop the section, but thanks for the timestamp. I'll take a look later. Phil, thank you for the support. There may be some... What?
Hmm?
Let's see. There may be some... This is like code. Towards damp, add to filling stud embeds inside. Probably talking about the pouring of the concrete in the tower, potentially. Pour in section with tap holes and patch. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I see what he's saying.
Thanks for the support there, Phil. That makes sense. Ben Thomas. Almost got your name wrong. Thanks, Ben. They would need fueling capabilities during cryo and static fire tests, Ben says. Probably something we were talking about back a little while ago. They will need that. They need to get that orbital tank farm done. Jim Baker, thanks for the support. Twice. Appreciate that, buddy. Lewis, thank you. Considering the massive energy blast coming from 32 Raptor engines at liftoff, will there be a containment wall to shield GSE from the blast? They've been building a lot of berms. They can build more if they think they need to, that's for sure. Thanks for the support there. And Neil, rounding up the final one here, says, thanks, Mary and crew. Got to see loads of crane. Hashtag came here for the crane. So thank you a bunch for the support there, Neil. And we're glad you enjoyed. I mean, it didn't get lifted. Boo! But also not boo, because we got to hang out, answer your questions, and have a little fun. Cool. Well,
Yeah, indeed. And yes, apparently, ask your questions again tomorrow. or whenever they lift this tower segment. Yes.
or ask them over in the 24/7 chat, and if one of
too.
us is around, we might answer you. So, I mean, I hang out in that 24/7 chat quite a bit, so...
I do too. I always wonder if people realize it's actually me though, because for whatever reason I don't have the like moderator check mark next to my name through some weird glitch in the system.
Oh man.
Yeah,
we need to get you figured out. That's
yeah. So I promise if you see a Krish Gebhardt and there's a shuttle photo as the avatar, it's actually me.
The fun thing is if you're on the list, so to speak, you can type in all caps, and other people will get their comment deleted because Nightbot will delete their all caps. So that's like you can pass the robot test or whatever, you know what I mean? By just type something in all caps and be like, this is actually, yeah, I don't know. I'm just goofing around. Anyways, that seems to be it for the day. If it looks like they're going to lift it, we can always spool back up. But in the meantime, we are spooled up already with the 24/7 stream. Hooray, 24/7 stream.
Woohoo! Yes. If you want to keep watching what they're doing and any progress that they have over there, you can definitely head on over to the 24/7 stream and give that stream some love as well.
It's got a name.
You're it has a name.
It's Starbase Live.
Oh, okay.
Jeez.
Oh, okay.
Branding. Come on.
Starbase Live. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We do keep that going, and like y'all said, over there chatting sometimes, I've got an eye on the cameras most of the times, and sort of pointing things around. Apparently, Chris Bergen can also drive MarsCam now, so if MarsCam is trying to do donuts out there, somebody please tag me in Discord. I need to know that. So, anyways, Jack, I guess time to do the outro, huh?
Man, that's it, right? That was the outro. This is it. It's over. We're done.
Basically,
it's done.
The end.
Push the button.
Thanks to everybody.
Bye, guys.
Wait, was that really the outro?
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait.
Like, Did you?
I guess it was. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us.
All
This
right,
is-
Jack. Just a hot ending there, I guess. Just suddenly we're just gonna stop the stream.
I mean, Chris, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome, Jack.
Das, thank you for pushing the buttons and pulling the levers.
Yeah,
Also,
I'm like,
Michael.
are we supposed to do a thing? Like,
I just thought we'd fall off a cliff. I don't know.
oh,
Fine.
Good times. Good times. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jack.
And Michael, I know you're still there. Thank you, Michael.
No
And
problem. Glad to be here.
and of course, thank you to Mary for being out there. And that's that. Hopefully, this thing gets lifted tomorrow.
All right. Are you hungry, Jack? Are you like ready to go to dinner or what?
I have not eaten breakfast.
It's breakfast.
Oh Lord.
It's like 3:30 p.m. All
Yeah,
right.
I know. I need to get some food. I didn't have a moment.
Okay, so Jack's gonna go get some food.
So that's the end, folks. Now we've gotten to the bottom of the ending here. Jack, get you some food. We're gonna keep an eye on the crane. Head on over to the 24/7 stream. Ben, we'll see you nerds later. We good?
We good?
All right. Thanks for watching, y'all. We'll see you next time. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
The chamber pressure looks good. Toggling up. Roger roll, Atlantic.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight down, speed off. Say again, SCE off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.